I'm Bob White, President of the Canadian Labour Congress. All of my life I've fought on behalf of working people, and that's why I'm urging you to vote yes on October 26th. This accord recognizes the right to universal health care, adequate social services, and the freedom to organize and bargain collectively. It really is time to turn the page on the preoccupation with constitutional issues and get on with rebuilding our economy. This accord allows us to do that. Vote yes.
This message was a free-time referendum broadcast produced by the Canadian Labour Congress Yes Committee.
The 1992 World Series is a special presentation of CTV Sports. They say the World Series is about to begin in Atlanta. No, the World Series begins here. On 100,000 playgrounds, in the fading light of 100 years of autumn afternoons, in the beating heart of a 10-year-old thinking, this time let me hit it, really hit it. This time let it not sting my hands when I swing. In all these poses, remember, leg spread, bottom down, glove low. Make him hit it to me, Damien. Oh God, if he hits it to me, let it come on a big hop. In the age-old motion practiced secretly at home before the pitcher's mother's mirror, in the ancient sound of balls smacking into catcher's mitt, and the umpire's timeless bellow, even in the boredom of right field, where nobody ever hits the ball, if you're the little kid, you play right. In all these familiar motions, poses, precedents, and habitudes, baseball lives in every one of us, not merely the great game, but as Thomas Wolfe said, really a part of the weather of our lives, of the thing that is our own, of the whole fabric, the million memories of America. The hands and muscles remember long years afterwards the time it didn't sting. The oldest player on the field is 12, will always in a corner of his memory be 12 and running hard for home. The World Series begins here. Now, let the World Series begin.
Well, it's official now. Summer is over. And wouldn't you know it, on both sides of the border, for the very first time, we bring you a World Series where we fly the colors of two countries. And for now, thanks to the Toronto Blue Jays, baseball is North America's pastime. Well, down here in Atlanta, everywhere you go, they're still talking about the game, the comeback, the play that turned the National League West champions into the Miracle Braves. Baseball, it's still a game of inches and centimeters. So, come on in and enjoy a heap and helping of some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality as we welcome you to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium for Game 1 of the 1992 World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to CBS Sports' exclusive coverage of the World Series. And we already know one thing. Sometime within the next week and a half, the World Championship Trophy will reside in the city where it's never been before. Atlanta, of course, came as close to winning the series as you could come last year. And Toronto, after striking out in 3 earlier playoff tries, has finally made it to the Fall Classic. I'm happy to say that Jim Cott joins us now. And Kitty, you spent the last couple of weeks with the Blue Jays. How do they match up with Atlanta?
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays this year are a stronger team than the Minnesota Twins that beat Atlanta in 7 games last year. They have Jack Morris this year. They've added David Cone to their pitching staff. Dave Winfield, who's been their designated hitter all night, will play right field in tonight's game. Jimmy Key, incidentally, will pitch Game 4. Home run power up and down this lineup.
And a lot of talent for Toronto. Certainly a key will be Roberto Alomar, who has now hit in all 11 postseason games he's played in. Of course, the MVP of the ALCS.
The Atlanta Braves saw Roberto Alomar a couple of years ago when he was with San Diego. He is a much improved player, the best situational hitter in the American League. You want a fly ball, you want a bunt, stolen base, home run, whatever you need, he can give it to you. Outstanding in the field. I think in this World Series, Roberto Alomar is the best all-around player.
And a heck of an athlete. Now for the Braves, it was Terry Pendleton's double that got it all started in that more memorable ninth inning.
You may see the Toronto Blue Jays pitch around Terry Pendleton in key situations in this World Series. Late in the game, winning run or tying run. I think he is the best and most dangerous clutch hitter in the major leagues right now.
Of course, the Braves and their fans are riding the crest of an emotional high, the moment that turned Francisco Cabrera from a nobody into a household name in every casa in Atlanta.
Se prepara, viene el envío para home, está sacando batazo de hit al jardín izquierdo, tiene una carrera de empate, tiene el tiro para home, el tiro es abierto, safe and home, ganan los Bravos de Atlanta sensacionalmente.
And for Cabrera, it's a moment Andy Warhol would have loved. Folks, instant fame.
Let me sign it right here.
Thank you. Congratulations.
You know who he was 2 days ago?
No, sir. But everybody knows now. Thank you ever so much.
It's a great country, isn't it, folks? And by the way, if you were smart enough to hang on to your 92 Cabrera, folks, let's put it this way. Here in Atlanta, the retail value has soared from 20 cents to $3. We come back here riding to work with Tom Glavine and working out with Jack Morris as Baseball 92 rolls on from the confluence of Interstate 75, 85, and 20 here on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger.
Yes, the SO Tiger's back. Back to remind you that our long-standing commitment to service still holds true today. Whether it's full serve or self-serve, we'll do our best to get you on your way as fast as we can. At SO, giving you good service is how we earn our stripes.
You're on your way.
With SO. Everybody's got the power to stand up and say it loud. People gotta know just what people can do. There's a change, you can feel it too. Everybody's got the power to do what you wanna do.
Now accomplish what you knew you could do. Find out about affordable Ambro personal computers.
Terrorists have taken over America's mightiest battleship, and an innocent woman is trapped. Now, her only hope is a cook.
A cook?
It's not a job. It's an adventure.
Oh, God, we're gonna die.
And his only backup is her. Steven Seagal.
You kill whoever we run into, all right?
Tommy Lee Jones.
This is not the work of a cook.
Under Siege. Now playing at a theater near you. Our main objective when we designed our new front-wheel drive minivan with standard anti-lock brakes was to make certain that it was the only car in its class. Period. Introducing the 1993 Villager. Quality is job one. It's working.
Morris has just come out to begin warming up. He is pitching in Game 1 of the World Series here in Atlanta. Wednesday night, while all of Canada was celebrating, Morris had work to do. He left this party to loosen up, folks, in the bullpen. Baseball's version of have gun will travel once again faces the Braves, whom he single-handedly kept from winning the World Series last year. I asked him if he thinks the Braves are looking for payback.
I'm not surprised.
Are you cocky going into this? You feel good? I mean, what do you?
I'm not cocky. No, I mean, I'm confident. I don't think cocky is a good word for anything, but confidence is important, and I believe that the guys behind me can play the game with the guys across the field. So we're gonna go have a little battle again and see what happens.
I don't think you ever have a little battle with Jack Morris.
Last year's World Series, Jack Morris had an outstanding fastball and forkball in all of those games. He'll need it tonight. The wind's blowing out. Keep the ball down.
Okay, for the Braves, Tom Glavine is coming off a dreadful performance in Game 6 against the Pirates. We wondered what was on his mind as he drove to the office today.
Bye, Golden.
Good old Golden. I just try to relax as much as I can right now and not worry about what happened the other night or, feel like I've got to prove it to anybody. I think I'm a pretty good pitcher. I've proved that, and haven't had much success in the postseason. So hopefully now is as good a time as any to start turning that around.
Do you hold any superstitions before games? Do you eat a certain thing or?
My main superstitions are always chew one piece of sugarless bubble gum and have one in my back left-hand pocket. Just never step on the lines.
When do the butterflies? You got to get some butterflies sometime.
Yeah, probably about an hour before the game, when I really start getting to the point where I'm really starting to prepare. With the stretching and the rub down and all that kind of stuff. That's when I start thinking about it. So, but once I get out there and throw a couple pitches, I'm usually all right.
There he is, live, also warming up, Kitty. He's got to come up big tonight, and he knows it.
The early innings are always important to a pitcher, but coming off a bad outing like Glavine had against the Pirates, I think psychologically the early innings tonight will be his biggest test.
There he is, chewing that sugarless gum there. Now, if you think that having a Canadian team in the World Series is the only big change this time around, look again at what's missing. Imagine the Declaration of Independence without John Hancock's John Hancock. Now, how about the World Series ball without Fay Vincent's Fay Vincent? That's because there's no commissioner right now.
Something doesn't feel right about this ball. It's a little light. I don't know what it is. I'll throw it, though.
He certainly will. Who says we don't keep our eye on the ball? Baseball 92. We'll be back with more from the Chop Shop in a moment. Stay with us.
Any major purchase involves a leap of faith. Buy a Nissan and it doesn't have to. You're protected by the Nissan Satisfaction Commitment. The most comprehensive customer care program in Canada. It comes at no extra cost and has no deductibles. Because at Nissan, we believe warranty should protect the people who drive the cars, not the people who make them. Nissan, built for the human race.
Every year, the United Nations Development Program has a special task force conduct a survey of 160 countries around the world, then ranks them according to their progress in education, life expectancy, and purchasing power. Guess who came in first this year?
For love of this country, a land built strong and free, for all of those who stand up proud and say they love it clear and loud, for all of those who can see what together we can be. Pour ceux qui de la viendront, grandir notre nation. Raise your voice, sing together, Canada.
I'm Keith Morris, and we figured you've probably had enough of everybody telling you what you should think about the Constitution. Maybe it's time we heard your views. So on October 20th, we'll have a special phone-in edition of Canada AM, Tuesday, 20th of October. Call us and tell us what you think about the deal.
We at CBS Sports like to say we always give you the best seat in the house. How about that one, folks, as Jack Morris continues his warm-up here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium on kind of a brisk autumn evening. On deck, we'll meet the two teams and hear the two national anthems. After a word from your local station, hope you're having a nice night wherever you are as we're getting ready to play the World Series, folks.
You don't have to be a model to look good on the runway. To find true love. Or to light up the town. The Mazda MX-3 Presidia with the only optional V6 looks good on you.
There are people telling you that if the constitutional issue was put on the back burner,
there'll be no consequences. That you can leave important things unattended, and life will go on as always. That is not the case. The threat of a broken Canada will be even greater, and our dollar, your dollar, will be under increased attack. Think what a no could do. Then think about voting yes on October 26th.
Question. Is it gonna work fast? That's all I wanna know.
My husband has an ulcer, and they said he shouldn't take some pills. My stomach's okay, but why take a chance?
Should I worry about side effects with my prescription? Answer.
Tylenol. When used as directed, drug interactions, stomach bleeding, or other complications are rare. Tylenol has the strength to deliver fast, effective relief. Tylenol is pain relief you can trust.
I like the sound of that.
Midas will look at your brakes 49 different ways, free. Then we'll give you a guaranteed estimate and a certified brake specialist to fix them right. The free 49-point brake inspection. 49 reasons to trust your brakes to Midas.
Welcome back to the World Series, Game 1 between the Blue Jays and the Braves. Time now to meet the participants in this year's Fall Classic. And to do the honors, here is public address announcer Marshall Mann.
The manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, Cito Gaston. And here is the Blue Jays starting lineup. Leading off in center field, number 25, Devon White.
Make sure you get that head now.
Number 12, second baseman, Roberto Alomar. Number 29, first baseman, Joe Carter. Number 32, right fielder, Dave Winfield.
There you go.
Number 23, left fielder, Candy Maldonado. Number 17, third baseman, Kelly Gruber. Number 10, catcher, Pat Borders. Number 2, the shortstop, Manuel Lee. And the pitcher down in the bullpen, number 47, Jack Morris. And now let's meet your 1992 National League champion Atlanta Braves. Ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. And now here's the starting lineup for the Braves. Leading off in center field, number 1, Otis Nixon. The shortstop, number 4, Jeff Blauser. Playing third base, number 9, Terry Pendleton. right field at number 23, David Justice. The first baseman, number 12, Sid Breen. Playing left field, number 5, Ron Gant. The catcher, number 11, Damon Berryhill. Playing second base, number 20, Mark Lemke. And the pitcher, down in the bullpen, number 47, Tom Glavine. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the United States Army Color Guard from Fort McPherson. And now remain standing, and to honor Canada, join in the singing of the Canadian anthem, which will be performed tonight by one of Canada's leading vocalists and star of the Canadian production of Les Miserables, Michael Burgess.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command, car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now to honor America, join in the singing of our national anthem, which will be performed by Mercury recording artist, winner of the CMA Single of the Year and New Touring Artist of the Year, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the hung
And whose achy breaky heart will be broken tonight? We'll be back with Game 1 of the 1992 World Series right after this.
Since the beginning of time, man has been mystified by power and beauty, intrigued by possibilities, searching for the perfect balance between the two. With its precision handling, bold, dramatic look, and available V6 power, the new MX-6 Mystère from Mazda clearly proves the search is over.
Experience the flavor of the Orient.
Welcome to Mandarin.
The finest in Oriental cuisine in a relaxing and friendly atmosphere. Choose from an amazing selection of freshly prepared dishes at our famous all-you-can-eat buffet. The variety and incredible value will tempt you back again and again. For any occasion, enjoy the charm, the heavenly flavor of fine cuisine. Come to Mandarin. 8 convenient locations.
Over the last 35 years, more than 10 million customers have come to Speedy Muffler King for real value. They've come for our $99.95 front disc brake package. They've come for licensed Speedy brake mechanics who replace only what's necessary. And they've come to be treated like a somebody. 10 million customers, over 10 million cars, enough to stretch around the world. And at Speedy, we worked on them one at a time. At Speedy, you're a somebody.
I would buy Junior the sports car he always wanted, that red Ferrari. Oh, it's okay. It was a Porsche, I'm sorry.
Lotto 649, just imagine.
What would you say to your own pool? When you play Lotto 649, say yes to Encore and you say yes to a $250,000 jackpot. You could win down to the last number, but if you say no, you can't win.
A CTV News update. Here is Sandy Ronaldo.
Good evening. Some stories we're following. Prime Minister Mulroney says polls are often unreliable as national surveys show the no side gaining support. And in Berlin, thousands of mourners bid farewell to Willy Brandt, the former West German leader. Details on the CTV News.
And welcome back to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where we have 2 teams, the Blue Jays and the Braves, who are taking it to the max. Right now it's time for us to take it to the max. Sean McDonough and Tim McCarver. Gentlemen, have a great series up there.
Thank you, Patrick, and good evening, everybody. This certainly potentially could be a great series. It isn't always the case that the 2 best teams in baseball reach the World Series, but in 1992, the best team from the American League and the best team from the National League is here. In fact, the Braves are here for the 2nd straight year, and they'll try again to deliver Atlanta's first ever World Championship in professional sports. Otis Nixon says it's time this city won a World Championship. And Blue Jay fans have to be saying it's about time our team is in the World Series. They are the first Canadian team ever to reach the World Series after 4 trips to the playoffs and 10 consecutive winning seasons.
After all, the Blue Jays did win the division in 1989, 1991. And you've heard about teams that talk about making a move in July, making a move in August. Well, it was the 2 moves that the Blue Jays made last winter. December 18th, they signed Jack Morris, and December 19th, they signed Dave Winfield, and those 2 players played a large part in them being here tonight.
And the Blue Jays made their move in the playoffs. They beat Oakland in 6 games, while Atlanta went the distance, and we mean the distance, in winning the National League Championship Series in 7 against Pittsburgh. You can tell tonight the Braves still have a bounce in their step.
As a matter of fact, the last time we were in this park, Francisco Cabrera delivering the game-winning hit. Pandemonium reigned, and I think some of it will carry over tonight, as you can hear.
2 20-game winners starting tonight in Jack Morris and Tom Glavine. but fans in both cities are saying, what have these guys done for us lately?
Yeah, Jack Morris 0-1 in the ALCS. He could have been 0-2. You may remember he left that game trailing 6-1, and the Blue Jays rallied to beat Oakland. Tommy Glavine, on the other hand, 0-2, and the last inning he pitched in this ballpark, he gave up 8 runs to the Pittsburgh Pirates. John Smoltz would be the starter, but he started on Wednesday, and he will start Game 2 for Atlanta tomorrow night.
Glavine trying to prove that he can win in the postseason. He is 1-5 lifetime in postseason play. With more on his story, here's Jim Cott.
Well, I think one of the keys in the start of tonight's game will be to watch Tom Glavine. You remember this year's All-Star game? The American League battle cry on the bench was, we can win this game in the first inning. And I think it'll be a challenge to the Toronto hitters to try to take the ball the other way, try to take it up the middle, not be too anxious against Glavine early on. And I think that'll be a big key to see how the Blue Jays attack him and what kind of command Tom Glavine has early in this game. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. The lineup that Toronto will send up against Tom Glavine tonight has Devon White leading off in center field. Roberto Alomar, the second baseman. Joe Carter at first base. The cleanup hitter, right fielder Dave Winfield. Candy Maldonado bats fifth and left field. Kelly Gruber is the third baseman. Batting seventh and doing the catching, Pat Borders. The shortstop, Manuel Lee, bats eighth. And batting ninth, the pitcher, Jack Morris.
Defensively for the Atlanta Braves, Ron Gant will be in left field. Otis Nixon can track them down with the best of them. He can flat catch a fly ball. He's the center fielder. David Justice in right field. Last year's most valuable player in the National League, Terry Pendleton at third. Jeff Blauser will be the shortstop this evening. Mark Lemke, the hero of last year's World Series for Atlanta, will play second base. Sid Bream, who scored the first and the last run in the National League Championship Series for Atlanta, is at first, and Damon Berryhill behind the plate.
We're ready to go with Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. And Devon White digs in to get us started. He's coming off an outstanding American League Championship Series. Tom Glavine is not. Coming off an outstanding performance in the playoffs. But he has a chance to erase that memory tonight. His first pitch, smashed down to third, but handled by Pendleton, 1 out. As Pat O'Brien mentioned, it is a crisp night in Atlanta. The temperature at game time, 60 degrees, very little wind to speak of in this circular ballpark. And the forecast is for it to remain clear throughout the night. There is a slight chance of rain here tomorrow for Game 2. Roberto Alomar was the most valuable player in the American League Championship Series. Glavine's first pitch to him misses low and away. And at age 24, Alomar, the youngest ever to be so honored in the playoffs.
You may remember the trade 2 years ago, Fred McGriff and Tony Fernandez going to the San Diego Padres for Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar. And some feel Alomar was the best player in that deal. And once the fans up in Toronto have seen him play over the last 2 years, they may agree.
Well, we talked a lot during the NLCS about Barry Bonds being perhaps the best all-around player in the game today. Fans of the Blue Jays will say Alomar is. Pendleton busy already. 2 down in the top of the first. The umpires working this one. Jerry Crawford of the National League is behind the plate. Mike Riley of the American League at first. Joe West from the National League at second. The AL's Dan Morrison at third. Bob Davidson, the National League umpire along the left field line, and John Shulock from the American League in right. Jerry Crawford in his 15th year as a Major League umpire, working in his second World Series, the home plate umpire. Joe Carter, coming off a subpar ALCS, but he did hit the big 2-run homer in the first inning of the clinching Game 6 against Oakland. And Glavine starts him with an off-speed pitch over the outside corner for strike 1.
Joe Carter told me yesterday that it's important for the Blue Jays not to have the festive feeling in the early innings, that it's time to go to work. A lot of teams that get to the World Series, you go through the festivities, there's media coverage, everybody's a star, and Joe Carter says you got to drop that feeling and go to work. It's important to get Glavine early, as Jim Cox said.
Glavine ahead of Carter, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs and the bases empty in the top of the first inning of Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Lemke. 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays on 3 ground balls against Glavine. After half an inning, the Blue Jays nothing and the Braves coming up.
Who said paradise was lost? This is our reward for using the card. Every time we did, the points kept building, and it was smooth sailing from there.
The Membership Rewards Program. Use the card, reap the rewards.
One blissful weekend away from the kids. That's our reward for using the card. Every time we did, the points kept building. You know, I could learn to like this.
The Membership Rewards Program. Use the card, reap the rewards. It's all been thought out. All engineered precisely where you want it. So where would you put an interior like this? In a coupe like this. Introducing the Chiva by Oldsmobile. Engineered to spoil you.
Turning down the heat. New cold filtered Labatt Genuine Draft.
Hi everyone, Rod Black back with you in Atlanta, our CTV sports team joining our friends at CBS for the World Series. You won't see too many of them tonight, but trust me, there are some Canadians here trying to stop the shop in the land of the Braves, but they're here, we're here, we'll see you later during our sports breaks. Enjoy the ball game, folks.
Braves Game 1 lineup has Otis Nixon leading off in center field. Jeff Blauser is the shortstop batting second. Terry Pendleton at third base hitting third. The cleanup hitter, right fielder David Justice. Batting fifth at first base, Sid Bream. The left fielder, Ron Gant, bats sixth. Damon Berryhill, the catcher, batting seventh. Hitting eighth, the second baseman, Mark Lemke. And the pitcher, Tom Glavine, bats ninth.
It is not a defense playing behind Jack Morris that Toronto Blue Jay fans are used to. Candy Maldonado has been their regular left fielder. Devon White is in center field, an excellent center fielder. But Dave Winfield, he had 26 games in right field this year. He's the starter out there this evening. Kelly Gruber will be at third base. The shortstop, Manuel Lee. Roberto Alomar, a slick fielding second baseman, and Joe Carter at first. He's played 4 games at first base this year. So look for the right side to be somewhat weakened this evening defensively for the Blue Jays and Pat Borders behind the plate.
And Jack Morris starts against the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 of the World Series for the second consecutive year. Last year, he did it as a member of the Minnesota Twins. Tonight, he's a Toronto Blue Jay. No score as Otis Nixon begins the bottom of the first. He hit .286 in the National League Championship Series. Jeff Blauser and Terry Pendleton to follow. And the first pitch ever by a Toronto Blue Jay pitcher in the World Series is bounced into center field by Otis Nixon.
I think the Braves hitters are going to try to hit the first pitch, especially if they're leading off an inning, so they don't become vulnerable to the Jack Morris split finger, one of the most devastating splitters around.
So Otis Nixon, who missed last year's World Series while serving a drug suspension in his first World Series at bat ever, Bounced the first pitch he saw through the middle. Now Jeff Blauser takes a ball high and tight. With Blauser at the plate, the third baseman Kelly Gruber in on the edge of the grass. And with the count 1-0, he is backed up a couple of steps. Nixon just back on the quick move to first by Morris. Cito Gaston, the first black man ever to manage a team in World Series play. An aspect of this World Series that he has made an effort to downplay. Bobby Cox, a former Toronto Blue Jay manager, back to the World Series for the second consecutive year. Nixon running with the pitch. The throw by Pat Borders gets away from Alomar, and Nixon has a stolen base.
Nixon with a great jump from first base, but look at the deterrent. Jeff Blauser gives the catcher Pat Borders by putting the bat out in front with no intention to bunt the ball. What that does to a catcher, it blurs the vision, and the throw sure enough is into the runner, and Otis Nixon on second base with nobody out.
Nixon stole 41 during the regular season and 3 more in the playoffs. A runner in scoring position with nobody out. In the bottom of the first in a scoreless ball game, an account of 2-0 on Jeff Blauser. Blauser looks at his first strike. Blauser finished the league championship series on a down note. He had only 2 hits in his last 19 at-bats. And turned to bunt again and had to duck out of the way of a pitch high and tight. 3 balls and a strike.
Jeff Blauser was hitting with the count 2 balls and no strikes, an offensive hitting situation. And then with the strike, Bobby Cox opted for the bunt. And now with the count 3-1, I would imagine Blauser will be hitting again. Most managers usually do not play for 1 run in the first inning.
The 3-1 pitch. Blauser bunts it in the air, and Carter handles it. So they went to the bunt with the runner already at second, and the count 3-1 on Blauser.
Jack Morris with an earned run average close to 7 in the first inning. And the Braves electing to bunt with their pitcher, Tommy Glavine, even though he did retire the Blue Jays in order in the first inning. His last outing here, he allowed 8 runs. So unusual strategy early.
Very unusual. Terry Pendleton, the batter. Pendleton, during the regular season, had the best average of any hitter in the major leagues with runners in scoring position. He hit .387 in this situation. The Blue Jays' Roberto Alomar, 4th. But as you saw, with the .233 average against the Pirates, Pendleton coming off a subpar postseason series.
He also led the majors in go-ahead RBIs with 35.
No score. We're in the bottom of the first inning. In Game 1 of the World Series, that's chopped slowly toward Gruber. And the strong throw gets Pendleton by a running step. Carter chasing after Nixon, who took a wide turn around third, with Gruber nowhere near the bag. We saw the graphic of Jack Morris's difficulties in the first inning during the regular season, but that has not been a problem that has carried over into postseason play. Coming into tonight, he had not allowed a hit in the first inning in any of his last 9 postseason starts. And Nixon had a first inning hit on the first pitch of the night thrown by Morris tonight. He's at third with 2 down for David Justice. As was the case with the Pittsburgh Pirates in the playoffs, the Blue Jays employ a shift in their infield with David Justice at the plate. 3 infielders on the right side. The shortstop Lee pulled over.
When David Justice stands erect, he is more apt to pull the ball, but right now it looks like he's in his crouch stance and could be trying to take advantage of the hole on the left side. Morris, to be effective, has to keep the splitter down, and when he does that, chances are great for a wild pitch. He had 9 this year.
Working from the windup with the runner at third. Good split finger pitch.
You can see the numbers with Justice. 78 hits to right field, only 22 to left, and 17 to center. So he likes to pull the ball.
The 1-2 pitch. He struck him out. The Braves threaten but do not score in the first. After 1, no score.
When Raymond Otwell of Whitehorse heard about Motomaster's new long life antifreeze, he was a bit skeptical. After all, with an amazing new formula guaranteed for 4 years or 100,000 kilometers, that's enough to go around the world more than twice. Undaunted, he set out to test it himself. 100,000 kilometers later, Mr. Otwell came to 2 conclusions. You can't buy a better antifreeze than Motomaster Long Life, and there really is no place like home. Motomaster, exclusively at Canadian Tire.
Gao is sound. Gao is motion. Gao is color. Gao is light. Gao is black. The television of choice in Japan, with a better picture, a better sound, and a sleeker design. Gao is now in Canada from Panasonic.
Well, it's here. Time for me to step down and retire as chairman of Chrysler. And hey, anybody that goes out wants to go out with a bang. And we've got a bang that'll be heard from Germany to Japan. It's a new car design that's as revolutionary as our minivan was. It's going to change the way cars are designed from now on. We call it cab forward. What we did was move the windshield forward. Then we pulled the rear wheels back, made the rear doors wider and easier to get through, and increased the width. Believe me, this does more than just improve the looks. Gives you a lot more room inside, it rides better, and it's easier to handle. I think cab forward, like our minivan, is going to get copied by everybody. It has to, just because it makes so much sense. You know, I got to tell you, when it's your last turn at bat, it sure is nice to hit a home run.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Labatt Blue. Honest and true, you bet it's blue.
You're looking at Atlanta's hero, Francisco Cabrera, formerly a minor league player in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. His 2-run single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th won Game 7 of the National League Championship Series against Pittsburgh. And Governor Zell Miller of Georgia on Thursday said, I'm not only proclaiming this Francisco Cabrera Day, I'm proclaiming this Francisco Cabrera year.
And they have also proclaimed it that in the Dominican Republic.
Dave Winfield in the World Series for the 2nd time in his career. And he hopes to erase the memory of his only previous appearance in the Fall Classic in 1981 with the Yankees. He went 1 for 22.
That one hit, a lonely single off Jerry Royce of the Dodgers.
One ball and 1 strike, the count on Winfield. He'll be followed by Candy Maldonado and Kelly Gruber. No score as Toronto bats in the 2nd. Tom Glavine worked a 1-2-3 first on 3 ground balls.
You notice how Tom Glavine keeps the ball away from right-handers? That's his slot. He will rarely come in unless it's off the plate.
Change-up and fastballs away. And Dave Winfield, interestingly, likes the ball away.
He stands a long way from the plate, but with his long arms, he can reach out and get that outside pitch. We watched that one sail by. It's a full count at 3-2. Off-speed pitch chopped off the plate. Pendleton has to hurry. Didn't get him. Green had to come off the bag to handle it. And Dave Winfield already has as many hits in this World Series as he had in 1981.
Sometimes a base hit is the result of a good pitch. This is a good pitch. It's down and away, and Winfield hammers it into the ground, and Terry Pendleton does all he can, making a fine play, but too late to first, as Winfield has the first Toronto Blue Jay hit ever in the World Series. You can put that on his mantle along with all of those other over 40 acclaims that he has.
Andy Maldonado. This really potentially is a series of a tremendous number of firsts. For most of the Blue Jays, it is their first World Series experience ever, but not for Candy Maldonado. He's one of 4 Jays who appeared in the World Series prior to tonight. Dave Winfield, Jack Morris, and Alfredo Griffin, the others.
Maldonado in 1989 with the Giants. Alfredo Griffin with the Los Angeles Dodgers against Oakland in 1988.
Up and in, backing Maldonado off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike on the Toronto left fielder.
That was that show-me pitch we were talking about. When Glavine comes inside, he does it to stay effective outside.
Fastball outside. The crowd wanted it. Glavine didn't get it. 2 balls and 1 strike.
That 1-1 pitch just off the plate. It looked wide.
And Winfield draws a throw. At age 40, Dave stole 2 bases during the regular season. But he was thrown out 3 times trying to steal. Off-speed pitch, and Maldonado couldn't reach it. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That's the circle change of Tommy Glavine. He throws it with the last 3 fingers, joining his index finger and his thumb. And a hitter is deceived by the arm motion, and you could see there was deception there on Maldonado's part. A lot of young pitchers think that in order to be deceptive with a changeup, you speed up the body. That's the worst thing you can do. You want the same motion for the changeup that you have with the fastball.
The 2-2 pitch, he struck him out. With a pitch out of the strike zone, Maldonado the first out of the inning, and that's the first strikeout of the night for Tom Glavine.
It was another circle change from Tommy Glavine out of the strike zone. But about 3/4 of strikeouts, of swinging strikeouts, are on balls that are out of the strike zone. Hitters are trained to hit the ball in the strike zone. And when they go after bad balls and swing through them, usually that's what occurs on strikeouts, on swinging strikeouts.
Kelly Gruber was at a tough year throughout offensively. He had 229 during the regular season, and followed that up with an 091 performance in the ALCS, including 0 for his last 15. Gruber has been bothered by nagging injuries throughout the year, and he is still troubled by a neck problem. It's only going to get better with rest, and that won't come, obviously, a little bit later on. He's happy that he's in the postseason. He has all winter to rest the neck. Rich
Sleep
Hackman,
in
the third
November.
base coach.
Sleep in November.
Mm-hmm. Winfield at first with one out. We're in the second inning, no score in Game 1 of the World Series. And the count 0-2 on Kelly Gruber. The 0-2 pitch, way outside, backhanded by Berryhill. To the credit of Gruber, although he has struggled throughout the season with the bat, he hasn't taken that slump into the field. He's had one of his finest seasons defensively. He laid off that pitch that was just outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kelly's road helmet is just as dirty as his home helmet. It's a bit more evident with the white logo on the front of the home batting helmet. And as he says, it's just going to get dirty again anyway, so why clean it up?
His badge of honor.
Mm-hmm. Glavine paying a lot of attention to Winfield. Too much, perhaps, given the lack of the likelihood of his trying to steal, and probably not a hit and run with this combination.
I think he's just holding him close. I don't think Winfield's going to be running until it gets 3-2.
Still 2-2 as Gruber sends it back in our direction. So many ties between the two teams in this series. As we mentioned, Bobby Cox, a former Toronto Blue Jay manager. He hired Cito Gaston as his hitting coach when Cox was the manager of the Blue Jays. Jimmy Williams, the Atlanta third base coach, also a former Blue Jay manager. Justice with a long run, but he's there and makes the catch in fair territory for the second out of the second inning.
As a matter of fact, Cito Gaston and Bobby Cox were teammates in the minor leagues back in 1966 in Austin, Texas. And Cito remembers a 3-run home run that Bobby hit against Wayne Granger in Arkansas, Little Rock.
I thought it was funny when you asked Bobby about it before the game. He said, yeah, a lot of my teammates were upset because that meant we had to go play a game, a 20-hour bus ride away the next night.
And we won that one too, he said.
To win the championship in the Texas League.
Then in 1978, Cito Gaston played for the Atlanta Braves under Bobby Cox, and here he is facing his old mentor in the World Series.
As of a couple of hours before game time, they still hadn't had a chance to speak with each other.
Yeah. Busy time.
Mm-hmm. Pat Borders hit .318 against Oakland after a .242 regular season. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Borders at the plate with 2 outs and Winfield at first. In the second inning, no score. Chopped foul, 1-2. Tom Glavine was asked at the press conference yesterday if he thought the Braves would suffer at all from the lingering after effects of their dramatic victory in Game 7 of the NLCS against Pittsburgh. Thought he gave a great answer. He said, that's in the past. We're looking ahead to the World Series. That was all he wanted to say about it. That's drifting toward the stands and right. As you might expect, no problem in selling out Atlanta Fulton County Stadium tonight. Not only do these two teams deserve to be here, each the best in their league this season, but these fans in these cities deserve the World Series. Atlanta drew 3 million fans this year for the first time ever. They sold out 58 home games. And of course, the Blue Jays at the Sky Dome had 68 sellouts, and over 4 million came through the gates. 1-2 pitch. Fouled back in the direction of our home plate camera. Jim Cott mentioned on the pregame show that Cito Gaston has announced Jimmy Key will be his starter for Game 4. The Braves don't know who'll pitch Game 4. It might well be Tom Glavine, depending upon how he performs tonight and if he has a relatively low pitch count.
Otherwise, it will be Pete Smith or Charlie Leibrandt to pitch Game 4, which will be next Wednesday night in Toronto.
Glavine not only pitching with the pressure of Game 1 of the World Series, but trying to shed the label that he can't win in the postseason, and also trying to earn himself his next start in Game 4.
Yeah, Tommy's postseason record 1-5. He is 0-4 in League Championship Series play. 1-5 is only victory coming in the World Series. That's in postseason. But look at the last 2 years. He has really tailed off 30-8 the first part of the season. Then from August through the end of the season, 10-11, and the 1-5 in postseason, to which we refer.
Of course, this year an injury had a lot to do with his second half slump. Glavine, shortly after the All-Star game, came down with a virus and became rather ill while dealing with the illness, pulled some rib cage muscles. A month and a half later, the weakness in those muscles led to a broken rib, and then he pitched through it. Winfield started this inning with an infield single. He's standing at first with 2 down in the top of the second. No score. This is Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Glavine says he is fully healthy now, and his 2-2 to Borders is fouled over the Atlanta dugout. Borders an Iron Man. He appeared in 138 games during the regular season for the Toronto Blue Jays.
That led all American League catchers in games played. 137 games played. He started 132.
And after the lengthy battle, it's a base hit. Winfield to second. First and second with 2 down in the Toronto second.
That was a terrific at-bat by Pat Borders, fouling off some very, very difficult pitches and finally getting a ball in the middle of the plate that he could hit hard.
On the 9th pitch of his at-bat. So 2 on with 2 out for Manuel Lee, the shortstop, with .278 against Oakland and .263 during the regular season. 26-year-old Tom Glavine. In with a fastball for a strike.
This is where Tommy Glavine is most effective, right down that lane, right outside.
Slapped to short. Blauser, the short way to Lemke to end the inning. After an inning and a half in Game 1 of the World Series, there is no score.
Dial 182, please.
Oh, I've seen better-looking liver in a medical textbook.
So have they picked your brains about the Benylin formulas yet?
We asked doctors across Canada what they wanted in a cough medicine.
You know, it's nice to be asked for my opinion. So what did you say about the Benylin DM cough syrup? Well, I really approve of the formulation.
No question. It's a very effective cough syrup for my patients.
All of their thinking is in this bottle. Benylin. Designed by doctors, recommended by doctors.
Now, if only someone would ask our opinion about this food.
When it comes to saving energy,
Being power smart begins at Home Hardware.
Hundreds of bright ideas for saving energy. And some very special savings.
monoacrylic caulking has a life expectancy of 20 years. Now that's power smart. 8 colors, $347 each.
We're proud to help.
Easy to use Weather Shield interior window insulation kits to stop drafts, just $249.
Home Hardware.
Real savings at Home Hardware.
I'm proud of my home.
And power smart ideas.
Your 40 Mercury dealers believe having a family doesn't mean you can't enjoy a sporty vehicle. Now for only $16,995, you can get the ideal family vehicle with a sports package featuring front-end spoiler, aluminum wheels, striping, and Aerotech side panels at no extra charge. Plus standard features like a V6, air conditioning, automatic, and more. Introducing the 93 Aerosport. While quantities last, get Aerosport for only $16,995 with a no-charge sports package. 93 Aerosport. Think of it as the family sports car.
Tonight's Pick 3 number is 206. Watch Win TV on Nightbeat News.
On Wednesday night, in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, Francisco Cabrera, the hero, with his 2-run single with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and the man who scored the winning run, Sid Bream, made it by a mile. There was so much talk about Sid being slow-footed, his 5 knee operations. He was quick to point out, hey, people forget, I stole 6 bases during the regular season.
And wasn't caught. This crowd was in absolute ecstasy on Wednesday night after he scored the winning run, and certainly a heart-rending loss for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And they remember his name here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Jack Morris with a fastball for his first pitch of the second. Sid will be followed by Ron and then Damon, Gant and Berryhill respectively. Carter. 1 out. That brings to the plate Ron Gant. He had just 182 in the NLCS. 2 home runs, including a grand slam in Game 2 off the Pirates' Bob Walk.
That was Ron's first grand slam ever, and he almost had another one in the 9th inning of Game 7 when he drove Barry Bonds back to the fence. Ball had too much topspin on it, and he had to settle for a sacrifice fly. That was the first run, or how Atlanta scored their first run in the 9th inning Wednesday night.
Off-speed pitch, and Gant was way out in front of it, 0-2. Tim, we saw in the playoffs, the Pirates really played Gant to pull, and you made the point many times. He is almost a dead pull hitter. Blue Jays, more or less, have their outfield straight away. Certainly not anywhere near as shifted around as the Bucks were.
Gant with many, many more hits to left field than to right field. Only a shade to pull in center for White.
He's called out on strikes for the second out of the inning and the second strikeout of the night for Jack Morris.
Looks like he crowds Gant with the fastball. You could see by that grip. Could have been a backup slider. And he ties up Gant for the second out of the inning.
Gant checked his swing, but the pitch was over, 2 down. In the bottom of the second, there is no score. Damon Berryhill at the plate. Big swing and a miss for strike 1. Berryhill caught every inning of the 7 games in the NLCS. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
With Greg Olson injured, he broke his right ankle on a collision with Ken Caminiti of the Houston Astros. And there is Greg, and out on his crutches when he was introduced tonight. He's got that big tomahawk on his cast.
They're auctioning off that cast for charity. When Greg Olson has it removed, the highest bidder will receive it. Two balls and a strike on Berryhill. Check swing. He fouled it back to the screen. 2-2. If Berryhill can keep the inning alive, he'll be followed by Mark Lemke.
Jack Morris has never lost a World Series game. He is 4-0 for his career.
And he's into a full count with Damon Berryhill.
Trying to become the first pitcher ever to win at least 1 game in postseason play for 3 different teams.
He's already done it for Detroit and Minnesota. And he strikes out Berryhill, ending a 1-2-3 inning. 3 strikeouts for Morris after 2, no score.
While much has changed over our 75-year history, some things have not. We still build our cars to the highest standards of safety, performance, and quality. Standards that guarantee the unique sense of driving pleasure that only a BMW can deliver. The BMW 3 Series. 5 cars, each one unmistakably a BMW. One of them is for you. BMW, the ultimate driving experience.
No payment, no payment, no payment and no interest, no payment and no interest till May 15th of 1993. On sofas, on bedrooms, on big refrigerators, on diners and recliners and other stuff like that. Okay, everybody, now we're gonna follow the bouncing slow below. Just the ladies now.
This is the factory of a leading North American tire maker. They make excellent tires with the kind of traction and mileage life you need. In fact, they're so good, we chose them to make Motomaster tires for Canadian Tire. So why don't we identify them? Maybe they're concerned that if you knew they also make Motomaster tires, which come with a nationwide road hazard warranty at no additional charge and a great Canadian Tire price, everybody will buy Motomaster tires. Maybe they're right. Motomaster, Canada's #1 selling replacement tires.
We've been asking people who've just shaved to try the revolutionary Braun Flex Control.
It's quite good actually, it feels like it's cutting more off.
We wanted to see how the pivoting head and twin foils followed the contours of his face for a close, smooth shave.
Yeah, I can tell where it cuts and where it doesn't need to cut anymore. Exactly, it was good, really good. Can I take it?
Then we checked what his first shave missed.
Feels good. I like it.
Braun Flex Control, the world's first pivoting head twin foil shaver.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball.
Our blimp tonight is Goodyear's Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. And at the controls is Captain Richard Daniels from Burbank, California. Nice night to be up there. Looking down at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Scoreless through 2 innings. And Jack Morris leads off. He was 0 for 2 at the plate in last year's World Series while a member of the Twins.
Last inning, when Morris was on the mound, we said that he would be the first player ever to win a postseason game with 3 different teams. Well, we'll correct that. He will be the first pitcher ever to win a World Series game with 3 different teams. Tommy John has done it in postseason play. He is the only other guy. He and Jack Morris are the only 2 guys to do that.
Tommy John did it with Los Angeles. The New York Yankees and the California Angels in postseason play. Morris foul tipped it. If Morris comes up with a hit, we'll have a story. American League pitchers have had only one hit in their last 81 World Series at-bats. That hit was a double by Mike Moore of Oakland at San Francisco in Game 4 of the 1989 series. Morris doesn't look entirely out of place up there. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
A lot of pitchers don't until they swing.
Well, he's hacked at it a couple of times and actually got a piece of 1 or 2, but not that one. Does that qualify as a jinx? Well, that was likely to happen anyway. Can't really say that we jinxed him. Second strikeout of the night for Glavine.
Well, one of the things that could favor the Braves in these first 2 games is the inability of the Toronto Blue Jays, not necessarily the inability as much as the inexperience of picking up a bat and hitting against a guy. Tommy Glavine, as a matter of fact, a very, very good hitter. John Smoltz, 2 hits in a National League Championship game, and Steve Avery's a good hitter. So the Braves pitchers are excellent hitters.
1 out in the third. The bases are empty. There is no score. Devon White started the ball game by grounding out to third. Obviously, everyone in both uniforms elated to be here, but Devon White is particularly happy. Earlier this week, he and his wife Colleen were test driving a Mercedes-Benz automobile up in Toronto, and the lady representing the dealership who was showing them the car was driving and smashed into a utility pole. Devon White said it was a frightening experience. His wife Colleen was in the front seat. Devon was in the back seat and was smart enough to have his seatbelt on. Devon had to be treated for a stiff neck following the Blue Jays win that wrapped up the ALCS the following day, Game 6 against Oakland. Apparently they skidded some 400 feet, and Devon White says, "I realize I could have been dead."
Obviously, after no harm was done, and naturally the gallows humor that exists in the clubhouse.
Lemke throws him out. 2 down in the third, no score.
All of Devon's teammates were kidding him about being a crash dummy. But obviously that you have to know a guy and like a guy very, very much to kid him like that. But Devon White very, very happy to be alive.
Car, by the way, was totaled, worth $130,000. I wonder if the woman is still working at the dealership. Roberto Alomar looked at a breaking ball for strike 1. Fastball high, 1 ball and 1 strike. Chop foul down to Rich Hacker. Let's take you back to Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. This capped the comeback from 6-1 down for the Blue Jays to 6-all. A 2-run homer by Roberto Alomar off Dennis Eckersley. The Jays went on to win in 11 innings, 7-6, to take command of that series. And that helped to propel Robbie Alomar toward the MVP honors in the ALCS. Glavine trying to work a 1-2-3 inning. He's gone full with Alomar. Of course, the hands raised in the air. Some thought that was in response to the fist pumping of Dennis Eckersley after he recorded the key strikeout. Off the end of the bat, Glavine on it quickly, and he does work a 1-2-3 third. We'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station.
Have you ever thought about wearing shoes?
Question. How much will the contents of your garage be worth 3 to 4 years down the road? Whereas many sedans drop more than 30% in value within the very first year, the Honda Accord has a knack of holding its value, as well as it holds the road.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Join CBS Sports tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the World Series pregame show, followed by Game 2 of the World Series between the Blue Jays and Braves. First pitch 8:29 in the pitching matchup. David Cohn for Toronto and John Smoltz for Atlanta.
What a great matchup that's going to be. We mentioned in our opening that John Smoltz would be opposing Jack Morris this evening had he not started on Wednesday night.
No score as we head to the bottom of the third. The Blue Jays with 2 hits. The Braves have 1. Jack Morris has retired 6 in a row since the leadoff single in the first by Otis Nixon. His first pitch to Mark Lemke was a ball. Of his hits in the NLCS early. At one point he was 6 for 11. Ended up 7 for 21.
Mark only batted .171 in September. That was 3rd lowest in the National League. But as he did last year, came on strong in postseason play. And certainly Jack Morris remembers Mark Lemke from last year. Jack, the MVP of last year's Minnesota Twins. And had Atlanta won it and beaten Morris the last day, Lemke would have been the MVP.
He will be followed by Tom Glavine and Otis Nixon. That's why Lemke would have been the MVP had Atlanta prevailed. But it was Morris going into the 10th inning of Game 7 with the shutout, who prevailed as MVP as his team prevailed. Lemke was 3 for 7 against Jack last year in the World Series. 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Good fastball from Morris. He has fanned 3 in a row and 4 in all.
Exhale and a wicked splitter on the outside to get Lemke. That's 4 strikeouts now for Jack Morris.
He has retired 7 in a row. He looks in at Tom Glavine. Sharply struck, but right at Manuel Lee. 2 down. Blue Jays general manager Pat Gillick calls Manuel Lee the Jays' most pleasant surprise this year. He had a solid year at the plate, an outstanding year in the field.
Second to Omar Vizquel of the Seattle Mariners. In fielding this year, he only made 5 errors. Usually you see that, though. A shortstop on the artificial turf will usually make fewer errors than a shortstop on a natural grass surface. Jeff Blauser, for instance, of the Atlanta Braves, played many fewer games and made 14 errors, even though 5 were as a second baseman.
Otis Nixon Drops down the bunt. Morris on it quickly. Low throw, scooped out by Carter. So Carter, without much first base experience, makes a nice play to end the inning. After 3 in Game 1 of the World Series, there is no score.
The blues come from the heart. They've been around for years. And they've never forgotten where they're from.
It could be a spoonful of diamonds.
For all the blues has brought to music,
Could be a spoonful of gold.
Labatt Blue has brought to this country's beer. Honest and true, you bet it's blue.
When Raymond Otwell of Whitehorse heard about Motomaster's new long life antifreeze, he was a bit skeptical. After all, with an amazing new formula guaranteed for 4 years or 100,000 kilometers, that's enough to go around the world more than twice. Undaunted, he set out to test it himself. 100,000 kilometers later, Mr. Otwell came to 2 conclusions. You can't buy a better antifreeze than Motomaster Long Life, and there really is no place like home. Motomaster, exclusively at Canadian Tire.
Did you know that while economic barriers between countries are falling, trade restrictions within Canada still exist? That's why the Charlottetown Agreement proposes that the free movement of persons, goods, and services be written into the Constitution as an objective for all governments in Canada. This is a key point in the agreement. It's for you to judge. For more information, please call 1-800-561-1188.
Our main objective when we designed our new front-wheel drive minivan with standard anti-lock brakes was to make certain that it was the only car in its class. Period. Introducing the 1993 Villager. Quality is job one. It's working.
This game summary.
One would think the Braves have the advantage tonight. The home team has won 24 of the last 30 World Series games. That's the greatest dominance by home teams in any 30-game segment of World Series history. And as you might also expect, a pitcher's duel between 2 20-game winners, both Morris and Glavine working on shutouts through 3. Joe Carter begins the 4th with a foul ball off the end of the bat. Carter grounded out, ending the 1st. He'll be followed by Winfield and Maldonado, batters 3, 4, and 5 against Glavine, who has retired 4 in a row.
You talk about a premier run producer, Joe Carter, 772 RBIs over the last 7 years.
And that's a deep drive to left field. Gant watching that one go. The first run of the World Series comes on a home run off the bat of Joe Carter. Mr. McCarver, were you saying something about run producing?
As Joe Carter produces the first run of the 1992 World Series. Wow. Boy, did he smoke that ball. A fastball that has too much of the plate. Right on the sweet spot. See, they were trying to come inside to Joe Carter. You saw Berryhill, the catcher, sitting inside, but Glavine didn't get it inside enough. And we talked earlier that when he comes inside, it's off the plate. That one wasn't.
Now Winfield looking at a strike. He had an infield hit off the plate his first time up. That's chopped to second. Lemke from behind the bag throws him out. Well, a big part of the problem for Tom Glavine in the postseason has been the home run ball, and it's a surprising problem. Glavine only allowed 6 home runs during this regular season in 225 innings, the second lowest home run rate among all starting pitchers in the majors. Only Greg Maddux of Chicago fared better. The Glavine surrendered 3 home runs in 7 1/3 in the league championship series against Pittsburgh, and now a home run in 3 innings plus tonight. Andy Maldonado stings one to short. Nice play by Blauser as the ball bounced up, and he throws him out. After the home run by Carter, a couple of nice plays in the infield behind Tom Glavine.
Mark Lemke first, and then Jeff Blauser. That ball coming up on Jeff. That was a fine play on a very, very tough hop. Unpredictable, and now Blauser rearranging the position of his feet and making a strong throw to first base to get Candy Maldonado.
Gruber couldn't get the breaking ball. Kelly was out on a fly ball to right field his first time up. He's now 2 for 23 in this postseason. 0-2. And the ball low and away. Gruber, an outstanding all-round athlete. He passed up the opportunity to play both baseball and football at the University of Texas, and he's a former winner of the Superstars competition.
He's the only baseball player that's ever won the Superstars competition, as a matter of fact.
He strikes out, but the Blue Jays are first on the board on the leadoff home run by Joe Carter after 3.5, 1-0 Toronto.
Ever notice how some people go out of their way for a good time? Ever notice what they drive? Toyota trucks, the promise of something better.
For over 45 years, millions of Canadians have relied on them to build their future. Once again this fall, it's time for Canada Savings Bonds. They're safe, secure, and offer peace of mind with a competitive rate of interest. Plan for tomorrow with a bond you can count on. Canada Savings Bonds. Buy yours from October 19th to November 2nd.
All right, work with me here, people. There's a new tire from Goodyear. It's called the AquaTread. It's an all-season radial with a radical new design feature. Now, you see this groove running right down the middle of the tire? Well, it pumps water out of your way. Gosh, any water, even slush.
Really? That's good news. Why are you sitting at the tune-up desk? And why is there a tire on the tune-up desk? Is there no depth to which you tire people won't sink?
The new AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
Look at that. Tread marks on my tune-up desk, and I just wiped.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Imperial Oil and Esso Associates. You're on your way with Esso.
Welcome back to Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver, Jim Cott, and Pat O'Brien. Blue Jays lead 1-0 on a leadoff home run in the top of the 4th by Joe Carter. Jeff Blauser begins the bottom of the 4th, to be followed by Terry Pendleton and David Justice. Blauser came up in the first inning with Otis Nixon at second and nobody out, tried to bunt him along on a 3-1 pitch and popped it up. It was caught in the air by Joe Carter. Carter has another chance, this one in foul territory. 1 out.
Joe Carter catches the first out and responsible for the home run. The first pitch to Joe Carter was a strike on the outside part.
but the second pitch was supposed to be inside off the plate. But judge for yourself and see where the second pitch was. See, when you miss inside, it's a home run. If you miss away, it's a single. But that's a classic example of missing inside, and Joe Carter didn't miss it.
Terry Pendleton took the off-speed pitch high for a ball. He bounced to third his first time up. Pendleton didn't hit for his usual high average during the playoffs, but his double that started the ninth inning of Game 7 against the Pirates should not be forgotten. It kind of did get lost in the middle of all the other dramatics. Now to play the other way, 2 balls and a strike.
I don't think anybody in the National League has more respect for his savvy on how to play the game than Terry Pendleton. He's a leader in the clubhouse, on the field. He is a terrific baseball player.
Braves president Stan Kasten calls him the greatest free agent acquisition in the history of sports. 3-1 on Pendleton. David Justice to follow. 1 out, bottom of the 4th, 1-0 Toronto in Game 1 of the World Series. Big swing and a foul back to the screen. Jack Morris has retired 10 in a row since yielding the leadoff single in the first inning on the first pitch of the night that he threw to Otis Nixon. Now the payoff pitch. Struck him out with the ball down and in. 5 strikeouts for Jack Morris.
This forkball is sinking faster than the dollar. That was nasty, as you see.
And that's the Jack Morris of the World Series of a year ago, and not the Jack Morris that Jays fans watch pitch in the playoffs against Oakland this year. 2 down and the bases empty for David Justice, who was the first strikeout victim of the night with Jack Morris. Again, they have the shift on. That time it looked like Justice had his erect stance trying to pull the ball.
When he stands straight up and down, as we mentioned the first time, he tries to pull. If he's spread out, he goes the other way. But with 2 out and nobody on, you would expect David Justice to try to pull the ball. I don't think Jack Morris threw as well in either game that he started for Toronto against Oakland. He is nasty tonight.
2 balls and a strike. Not going to do much with that pitch, even if he gets the bat on the ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Johnny Cox was looking out there as if he was saying, I've seen this act before.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Bobby Cox and the Braves.
The tantalizing off-speed pitch passed by, and the count is full. Cito Gaston played for the Atlanta Braves 1975 to 1978. Payoff pitch, ball 4. It's the first walk of the night issued by Morris, and the Braves have their first base runner since Nixon started the first with a base hit. At the conclusion of tonight's game, Tim McCarver and I will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the player's name to the Special Olympics. So the Braves have their second base runner of the night with 2 down in the 4th inning. They trail 1-0. And Sid Bream is at the plate. He popped out to the first baseman Carter his first time up. Sid Bream now 0 for 10 against Jack Morris in World Series play. Morris trying to extend his consecutive scoreless inning streak in the World Series to 17. If he can emerge from this inning unscathed.
What did Sid Bream do on his off day yesterday after the Braves worked out? He went bow hunting. He is an avid bow hunter, loves the outdoors for its peace and quiet. He says he loves to get away from the telephones.
Probably a few people calling looking for tickets.
You're right.
A ball and 2 strikes on Bream. The runner at first is David Justice with 2 outs in the 4th inning. The Blue Jays lead Game 1 of the World Series 1-0. The 1-2 pitch is low and inside. Good backhand stop by Borders. This is a difficult pitching staff to catch, and Pat Borders has done a nice job.
David Cohn is wild. As a matter of fact, he had 17 wild pitches in the National League this year. We mentioned the problems with Jack Morris. Jose Guzman, similar. Juan Guzman, I beg your pardon. Similar, that slider going down. Tom Hinkie with the fork ball. He's their ace stopper. Very, very difficult pitching staff to catch.
Gene Tennis, the dugout coach, alongside Cito Gaston. And they know that the runner will be off from first with the 3-2 pitch.
No signals here. Everybody knows it's 3-2, 2 outs. The runner's running.
That was the signal for throw a strike, but he didn't. And now Morris has walked consecutive hitters. First and second with 2 down in the 4th inning. Ron Gant looked at a called 3rd strike his first time up. First pitch to Gant. Fouled back. Just off to our right. Nearly fielded by Vin Scully and Johnny Bench in the CBS radio booth. No offense, but John Bench stands in a bit better with those foul balls coming at him than you did.
Yes, he does. He was a better catcher. That's the reason. In my opinion, Johnny Bench was the greatest catcher who ever lived. I didn't see Mickey Cochran or some of the earlier, Bill Dickey. Nobody could do it all like Johnny Bench, in my opinion.
The 0-1 to Gant. That's in the dirt and away from Borders. And the runners move up. Justice to third. And Sid Bream down to second. On a very wild pitch thrown by Morris.
A pitcher can afford to cut it loose if he throws the splitter with a runner on second base. However, you get a runner on third base, and he's probably more tentative in throwing that fork ball. That was a very difficult chance for Pat Borders and a wild pitch on Morris.
So now the Braves have 2 men in scoring position without the benefit of a hit in this inning. Back-to-back walks with 2 outs, and then the wild pitch moves them up 90 feet. And the count 1-1 on Gant. He chased a ball, but that's a tough pitch to lay off. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Time called as Morris took a lot of time and Gant asked out. Atlanta excelled in this situation in the league championship series against the Pirates. They hit .313 with 2 outs and men in scoring position. That's a ball low, 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's a lot better than the Braves' overall team batting average in the 7 games against Pittsburgh of .244. 1-0 Toronto. But the Braves are threatening with 2 men in scoring position and 2 down in the bottom of the 4th. And the 2-2 pitch to Gant. Foul tipped. Doubleheader in Atlanta today. The Florida State Seminole football team played in Atlanta earlier against Georgia Tech. And Morris strikes out Gant. He has now thrown 17 consecutive scoreless innings in World Series play.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Honda, the official car of the Toronto Blue Jays for the past 16 years.
The new Civic Hatchback SI. Captured on high-speed film. But it got away.
To create jobs and build a more prosperous future, Canada has to become more competitive. Can we do it? Yes, we can. With inventive people and companies like Rocky Mountain Bicycle, winners in the overseas market race. The skilled employees of Canadair, aircraft exporters to the world. And the specialized staff at SPAR, sending aerospace expertise around the globe. Can Canadians compete? Yes, we can.
Grandpa, you always go to Esso.
Always have.
But I know why.
Well, they're nice folks. Service is always good.
But did you ever see a tiger?
I'm too old to see tigers.
Too old?
When you get bigger, you don't see tigers anymore. Did you see a tiger?
I'm too big to see tigers.
Me too.
At Esso, giving you good service is how we earn our stripes.
What you need in copiers is
Sharp thinking about business.
an impressive award-winning line of copiers and the new SD3075 Master Series, Sharp's most advanced high-speed, high-volume copying system. Trade up to Sharp before November 30th, 1992, and you can qualify for up to $10,000 on selected Sharp copiers, up to $3,000 on selected faxes. Call 1-856-SHARP for your participating Sharp dealer.
Sharp thinking about business.
Willie Mays with the catch off Vic Wirtz in the 8th inning with 2 men on base and 1 out. The game remained tied at 2 until the 10th inning when the Giants scored 3 runs on a Dusty Rhodes home run for the win over Bob Lemon in Cleveland.
The catch. If that was the catch on Wednesday night for Atlanta, Sid Bream scored the run.
That Borders is the first out of the 5th inning. On a chopper down to Sid Bream at first. Borders now 1 for 2. He had singled his first time up. Manuel Lee, the batter. Check swing. It's a strike from Tom Glavine.
So many remarkable things about that game on Wednesday night. One of the most exciting half innings that I've ever seen. And people around town still in kind of shock around Atlanta. And that victory on Wednesday night marked only the 7th time that a decisive postseason game had a sudden death ending. And this is staggering. But Wednesday's game was the first of those 7 sudden death endings in which a team went from losing to winning on the game's final pitch.
Which made it an excruciating sudden death for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and your heart still has to ache for Jim Leland and his team in their 3rd straight opportunity to get to the World Series denied in the toughest of all possible fashions.
That is 140 postseason series, including the World Series, the first World Series played back in 1903, the first playoff series played in 1969. There was also 4 mini playoff series following the 1981 split season. First time it happened the other night, where a team went from losing to winning in the decisive game on the final pitch. Remarkable.
It wasn't quite as dramatic an ending of the playoff series for Cito Gaston and the Toronto Blue Jays against Oakland, but it was an emotional achievement for Gaston. Been much maligned despite winning 3 division titles in 4 years for his failure to lead the Blue Jays to the World Series. And now that has been removed from his shoulders, tears were evident as he addressed the media after the clinching Game 6. Lee slaps a pop-up. Blauser takes charge. 2 down in the 5th inning. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes is high overhead tonight. Stars and Stripes is the most recent addition to the fleet, continuing a tradition that dates back to 1926. And by the way, happy birthday to Tim McCarver, who celebrated
thank you.
a birthday 2 days ago here in Atlanta. Doesn't quite go all the way back to 1926 like the Goodyear Blimp. Jack Morris took a called strike.
1 year over the half-century mark. I'm embarrassed about my age.
Oh, and I think I've narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Maybe 51.
One bad thing about birthdays, you don't want to skip one.
1-1 on Morris. Glavine has retired 5 in a row since the home run by Carter last inning. It is the only run on the board at the moment. Morris chopped it foul past Bob Baylor in the first base coach's box. There's Bobby, the original Blue Jay in the expansion draft in 1977. And Morris, a big cut and a miss for strike 3. Halfway through Game 1 of the 1992 World Series, the Blue Jays won and the Braves nothing.
And now, another Coca-Cola Sports Break. Here's Rod Black.
Not always easy when the pitcher has to hit, especially when he doesn't do it during the season. The biggest bond between these two teams exists between three men who all have managed the Blue Jays: Cito Gaston, Bobby Cox, and Jimmy Williams, who earlier today talked with some old friends and talked about returning to Toronto for Game 3.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been there, since I was zapped, as they say, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a grand city. It's a great city, really. I think maybe one of the premier cities in North America, all of North America. I had almost 10 years there, over nine and a half years there, so the organization treated me fine, and I was lucky to be there that long from the standpoint of tenure of a lot of coaches, managers, whatever, but it's certainly nice to see people be successful that have put in a lot of time, a lot of hard years, and talking with John Sullivan and certainly Galen, who were on the staff way back when I was there as a coach, as a manager, and are certainly still there. I'm talking to Sully, I think it's been 30 plus years, but he finally made it to the big dance, as they say. So I'm proud for those kind of people and their families that they have an opportunity to be here. And certainly I'm extremely lucky to not only been here last year, but this year too.
There's just one, and there's no mistaking it, one.
Why don't you and me do some fancy stepping tonight?
With that cool style of it, with that smile, yeah, one.
She's a beautiful dancer. Why, I used to call her Twinkle Toes.
Can you do this one?
Ooh, there's just one.
You're not so bad yourself.
1 calorie just for me.
Some for you.
Thanks.
Some for me.
Diet Coke.
Jack Morris getting ready to get back to work. Some NHL scores for you tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs leading the Chicago Blackhawks 3-2 in the second. Pittsburgh leading Hartford 6-2 in the third. Edmonton trailing Detroit 4-2. That is in the third. And that Pittsburgh score I mentioned, Kevin Stevens has 4 goals tonight.
Welcome back to Game 1 of the World Series. Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver. It's great to have you with us. Tim, we spoke at the outset about the anxiety that some fans in each city had about the starting pitching matchup tonight with Jack Morris and Tom Glavine having their problems in the playoffs, but not tonight.
Yeah, I think those problems are dispelled with 2 fine performances thus far by both pitchers in this 1-0 ball game. Jack Morris has struck out 6, primarily with that splitter of his. He got Ron Gant with runners at second and third and 2 out in the 4th inning.
Morris has allowed only 1 hit. And that was to the first batter of the ball game for Atlanta. Damon Berryhill struck out his first time up. He's up there now with a count of 2 balls and no strikes. Morris's control deserted him momentarily last inning. He walked 2 in a row after 2 were out and got out of the inning with a strikeout of Ron Gant. Berryhill, then Lemke and Glavine, the bottom third of the order in the bottom of the 5th. Pretty well hit to center, plenty of room for Devon White.
You folks may be thinking about that note we used the last inning when Atlanta became the first team Wednesday night that went from losing to winning a game, a decisive game on the final pitch, and you're probably thinking, what about the 51 Dodgers or Giants when they beat the Dodgers on Bobby Thompson's home run? That was won on the final swing of the game, final pitch, decisive game, but because it was 2 out of 3, it was a considered regular season play that year.
Lemke with the bounding ball to second. Alomar throws him out. And quickly 2 away in the Atlanta 5th. 1-0 Toronto. Any games played to break a regular season tie are counted as regular season games and not as postseason ball games.
Other sudden death finishes that you may be familiar with, the 1960 Bill Mazeroski home run, but that game was tied. 1972 when Johnny Bench led off tying the game with a homer in the National League Championship Series. Bob Moose's wild pitch later on, but the game was tied then. So in all other 6 cases, the games were tied.
Including the decisive game of last year's World Series, won by Minnesota in extra innings. Scoreless ball game in the 10th, and Gene Larkin delivered the game-winning pinch hit to drive in Dan Gladden with the series-winning run for Minnesota. A ball and a strike on Tom Glavine. He's a good hitter. hit .247 during the regular season, second best among National League starting pitchers, behind only Dwight Gooden of the New York Mets. Two balls and a strike. This is the first matchup of 20-game winners in a World Series opener since 1969. Tom Seaver took the mound for the Mets and Mike Cuellar for Baltimore.
May remember Don Buford homering for the Baltimore Orioles as the leadoff batter that year. And the series won by the Mets in 5, the Miracle Mets. Amazing.
Now the 2-2. Whoa, look out. Line sharply into the stands along third base. Fortunately, everybody appears to be just fine. Two down in the bottom of the fifth. 1-0 Toronto. And a full count now with Tom Glavine. In case you're just joining us, the only run in this ball game scored in the top of the fourth. Joe Carter, a leadoff home run off Tom Glavine. Carter hit 34 round trippers during the regular season and a home run in the LCS. Glavine draws a 2-out walk. The third walk thrown by Morris. The other two came with 2 outs last inning.
That was an at-bat as though Tommy Glavine were a regular player. He does not swing at many bad balls. You don't often say that about a pitcher, but Glavine struck out only 10 times this year in 90 plate appearances. That was the lowest rate for pitchers with 25 bats or more, at-bats or more, in the National League.
Otis Nixon has the only Atlanta hit, a leadoff single in the first inning. He looked at a ball low.
And we have to take you back to that first inning strategy. Jeff Blauser trying to bunt with Otis Nixon on at second base after he had stolen second. And the bunt ineffective as Blauser popped it up, and then Pendleton grounded out and Justice struck out.
Undoubtedly the feeling of Bobby Cox was he wanted to get 1 run in the first inning to help his team relax in the first inning of Game 1 of the World Series.
And correct in his assumption that not many runs would be scored in this game. And so far, he's been right.
One ball and 1 strike on Nixon. Glavine at first with 2 down in the 5th inning. The Blue Jays lead 1-0. That one nearly sailed the backstop. Borders had to reach up for it in a hurry. 2-1 on Nixon.
A splitter, and you could see that clearly. That got away from Morris. Quick reactions by Borders. And now Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, is out to talk to Jack. You could really see that splitter, the split fingers that has the tumbling downward effect once it leaves his fingers. We talked about the arm motion of the changeup of Tommy Glavine. Well, that's what makes a hitter commit when he sees that splitter, too.
Talking to some Florida State fans who were in town for that football game today against Georgia Tech. They don't mind the Braves fans have stolen the chant and the chop as long as they get credit for originating that idea. The movement was founded at Florida State in the mid-'80s. 3-1 now on Otis Nixon. Should Nixon reach, Jeff Blauser would bat next. That's ball 4. So for the second inning in a row, Morris has retired the first two hitters and then walked two in a row. Last inning, he wild pitched the two runners to third and second, respectively, before striking out Ron Gant to end the inning. Lavin at second, Nixon at first. Two outs, home half of the fifth in Game 1 of the World Series. The Blue Jays lead 1-0. Jeff Blauser is 0 for 2. He was out trying to bunt in the first inning and fouled out to the first baseman Carter in the fourth. Blauser in this postseason now 2 for his last 21. Lavin is a good base runner. As a matter of fact, they considered using him as a pinch runner for Sid Bream in the ninth inning of Game 7 against Pittsburgh. Foul tipped into the mid of Borders, a ball and a strike on Blauser. Dirt, dug out by Borders, 2-1.
Pat Borders broke in to the Toronto Blue Jay organization as an infielder. Now, obviously, infielders practice on working on ground balls, and it's coming in handy when Borders has to catch a lot of split-finger fastballs from the likes of Morris, Cone, and Hinkie.
The 2-1 to Blauser. Fastball for a strike. 2-2. Drop it in. It's a full count with 2 outs again. The runners will get the jump. Lavin from second and Nixon from first. Most of the fans on their feet now. The payoff pitch with the runners on the move. He struck him out. Morris walks the high wire for the second consecutive inning. We'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station.
For years now, the competition has tried every means imaginable to unlock the secret of why only a Honda drives like a Honda. Unfortunately, the secret is you can feel it. You just can't see it.
What if, from your PC, you could command any computer in your organization, no matter who made it? You could recruit the system down the hall, ask the mainframe to fetch applications elsewhere, then tell the printer to print. And if the one company that lets you do this would service not just their computers, but your entire network, could you imagine working with anyone else?
Rust. What it can do to the outside of your car, weak, neglected antifreeze can do to the inside. You need the tough anti-corrosion formula of Prestone. Use fresh Prestone every year to give your radiator and cooling system heavy-duty rust and corrosion protection. No matter what happens to the outside, Prestone protects the inside. Prestone stops the rust that stops your car.
Prestone Antifreeze, available at these fine stores.
It took an incredible stretch of the imagination to create a car with a 125 horsepower engine that sips fuel at the rate of 5 tablespoons per kilometer. But to
truly appreciate the new Civic sedan. All it takes is a remarkable stretch of road.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Honda, the official car of the Toronto Blue Jays for the past 16 years.
The telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Through 5 innings, the Toronto Blue Jays lead Game 1 of the World Series 1-0 on a leadoff home run in the 4th by Joe Carter. And the city of Atlanta hoping for its first ever World Championship in any professional sport. The city has gone a combined 0 for 84 years when you put together the seasons of the Atlanta Flames of the NHL, the Falcons, the Hawks, and the Braves.
Flames were here for 8 years. The Hawks were here for 24 years, and both the Falcons and Braves here for 26 years. That's 0 for 84, and hoping they can break that this year.
The top of the order for Toronto against Tom Glavine, who has set down 6 in a row since the Carter home run. 1-0 on White. Glavine, 26 years old, from Billerica, Massachusetts. He's going to get married in November. Terry Dobbins, a native of Atlanta. Tom makes his home here in Atlanta now. We'll face White, then Alomar and Carter. Balls and a strike on Devon White. There's Alomar on deck. Devon White, really the perfect center fielder for the Blue Jays with all that room at the Sky Dome. You need a guy like White who can get after it and track it down.
You notice Nixon's similar in the way they approach fly balls. Excellent outfielders. And not only that, but White gives you something in the leadoff position that a lot of leadoff hitters don't. That's power. 17 home runs this year. Only Brady Anderson had more as a leadoff batter. He had 21.
Bream the catch of the little pop-up for the first out of the 6th inning. Well, if there's a Francisco Cabrera in that stack, it's worth a lot more than it was a couple of days ago, as Pat O'Brien told you on the pregame show.
I think it's up to 20 cents now. Francisco Cabrera baseball card. One memorabilia shop here in town. Had never sold one before, but sold 10 the next day. That was Thursday after Frankie got the game-winning hit on Wednesday night.
Roberto Alomar up there with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Well, Alomar made a little money for himself by being the MVP in the League Championship Series. He earned $50,000 as part of an incentive contract. John Smoltz, who was the NLCS Most Valuable Player, also earned $50,000 for being awarded that honor. We'll see Smoltz tomorrow night in Game 2. He'll be opposed by David Cone.
He has been red hot. His last 2 League Championship Series, he has hit safely in 11 straight games.
He's had a hit in every postseason game in which he has appeared, but not tonight. 0 for 2 is Alomar, and in the full count now with Glavine.
The record for consecutive games, if you're interested, Greg Luzinski hit in 13 straight.
Still 3-2.
That's from the start of his career, or their careers.
Another payoff pitch. Sent to just about the same spot.
It's pretty good.
It does, but it's getting a little bit chilly for the ice cream. The temperature now down in the high 50s.
Well, it won't melt as rapidly tonight.
Third 3-2 pitch. Struck him out with the fastball on the outside corner. Alomar didn't think so. He had started toward first. 2 outs in the 6th inning. 5 strikeouts tonight for Glavine.
If you're consistent on the outside part of the plate, if you're there all the time, it might be a little outside, and it appeared to be a little outside, as you can see from our overhead shot. But an umpire will expand the strike zone a little bit if you're consistent in one area. It may not have been a strike, but it's certainly understandable from an umpire's standpoint that if you're always there, he'll give you that pitch an inch or two off the plate. See, that was about the same pitch right there.
To me, that looked like a better pitch.
Yeah, might have been.
Joe Carter, 1 for 2 with the home run leading off the 4th. That remains the only run in this ball game. Trying to send that one to the same spot. Gant at the warning track makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays. After 5 1/2, still 1-0 Toronto.
Ms. Robertson.
Michael.
What's this I heard about you retiring?
Retiring, I wish. No, Michael, but I am taking a year off.
Oh, it must be great. Must be great.
Anyway, so I have decided I am doing it now.
You win the lottery?
Creative financing. Oh, I have enough money for my retirement, but I don't want to touch that. So about 8 months ago, I told the bank what I wanted to do, and we have worked it out.
Wow, that's great, but where are you going to go to school?
Jungle, you. It's a dig in South America.
If you have a dream, there's a way to get it. Let us help. With personal banking, we have the tools to get you there. We're changing. We're CIBC. Get us working for you.
Hi, Blanche. Hey, guess where I'm calling you from? That's right, I am calling you from the plane. Yeah, I'm using their airphone. Well, you gotta love Bell Mobility, huh? Yeah, they got everything I need to stay in touch. Yes, it is the same company I got my cellular phone and my pager from. Listen, Blanche, any messages there? Revenue Canada, my accountant, and my wife? Tell them you have no idea how to reach me. And Blanche, book me a connecting flight. Yeah, Sumatra. No, not Frank, the country.
First, the press spoke.
Road and Track magazine named Infiniti Q45 one of the 10 best cars in the world.
Then the owners spoke.
A survey of U.S. new car owners ranks Infiniti best overall car line in initial quality.
But the last word is ours. Introducing the new J30 from Infiniti, the most distinctive, most elegant sedan in the world. Period.
I'm Keith Morris, and I'm very pleased to tell you that on Tuesday, the 20th of October, we'll have a special phone-in edition of Canada AM. You tell us what you think of the Constitution.
Program, courtesy of Joe Carter's home run in the 4th inning, that remains the only run in this game. As the Braves come up in the bottom of the 6th with the meat of their order coming up. Terry Pendleton, David Justice, and Sid Bream against Jack Morris. Hamilton has bounced to third and struck out swinging. Atlanta still has just 1 hit off Jack Morris, and that was Otis Nixon on the first pitch Morris threw tonight.
Morris unusually wild the last 2 innings. He walked 2 in the 4th inning and 2 in the 5th inning. Not a lot of guys making contact. He's walked 4, 7 strikeouts.
Roberto Alomar throws Pendleton out, and we check in with Jim Cott.
Sean and Tim, you were talking about Jack walking a couple of hitters in each of the last 2 innings. Remember, he pitched in Minnesota last year. This year in Toronto, always ideal conditions with the Dome. He does not like cold weather. Ball gets a little slick. Now, it's not cold tonight, but it's getting much cooler, and I think the ball is slipping out of his hands a great deal more than when he's home in Toronto in the Skydome.
Thank you, Kitty.
Always a constant temperature there, of course, as it was in the Metrodome where Jack pitched last year.
Well, most of the time a constant temperature at the Sky Dome, unless the roof is open. If the roof is open at the Metrodome, they have a big problem.
You're in trouble. Matter of fact, both of Morris's victories last year in the World Series came at the Metrodome. Game 1 and Game 7.
This last year, Jack Morris pitching for his hometown team. He's from St. Paul, Minnesota. Talked a lot about how much the championship meant to him, coming as it did for his hometown team. And that's why many were stunned when he opted to take the greater dollars offered in free agency by the Toronto Blue Jays and head to the other dome, the Sky Dome. 1 ball and 2 strikes on David Justice. 1 out and the base is empty in the 6th inning. The Blue Jays 1 and the Braves nothing. Two and 2. Each team has made 1 roster change in the time between the Championship Series and the start of the World Series tonight. Toronto has added veteran infielder Rance Mulliniks and removed infielder Tom Quinlan. And the Atlanta Braves have taken pitcher Kent Mercker off their active roster and replaced him with rookie pitcher David Need. Mercker bothered by a rib injury suffered during the celebration. He jumped on top of Terry Pendleton after the Game 7 against Pittsburgh, and people jumped on top of Mercker. He doesn't know who it was, but it hurt his ribs, and he's unable to go. And that's ball 4. Justice walks for the 2nd consecutive at bat. So all of a sudden, Jack Morris has walked 5. That's the first walk that he has issued with less than 2 outs.
A lot of times you could put a hit and run on with a guy like Green. He's a contact batter. Matter of fact, he didn't strike out in the League Championship Series. The problem with that, though, with Jack Morris being wild over the last couple of innings, he's walked 5 in the last 2 1/3. You don't want to put the hit and run on if a pitcher's not going to throw strikes consistently. Several ingredients to that hit and run formula. You have to have a hitter that makes contact and a pitcher that throws strikes. Usually, the speed of the runner at first is incidental.
The 0-1 to Bream. Check swing and the ball low and in. Jimmy Williams, the third base coach of the Atlanta Braves, a former Toronto Blue Jay manager. And Jimmy Williams getting his miles in again tonight in that third base coach's box. We talked about how the grounds crew here complains that Jimmy kills all the grass in that area, but he had a good explanation for it when we asked him. He said he comes down when giving the sign so that the runner over at first base can see him across the diamond without the mound being in the way. Two balls and 1 strike on Bream. 1 out, a runner at first in the 6th inning. Toronto leads 1-0.
Ideal time to send the runner, but as we said, Jack Morris is not throwing a lot of strikes. But when you haven't scored and it's the 6th inning, you got to go from being a passive ball club to an aggressive ball club.
Morris walked 5 in a game only 2 times during the regular season. But since the postseason started, he walked 4 in Game 1 of the ALCS against Oakland, 5 walks in Game 4 of the playoffs against Oakland, and 5 walks tonight. Bream looking for his first ever hit against the 37-year-old right-hander. With the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes, and Ron Gant on deck. Line to base hit. Through the hole on the left side. That's just the second hit of the night for Atlanta, the first since Otis Nixon started the home half of the first inning with a base hit.
Bream hits a tough pitch. You can see how far off the line Gruber was. But that low liner scoots by him, and the Braves once again are threatening.
Ron Gant, the batter. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. He struck out with runners at second and third and 2 down in the 4th inning. Now he's up with first and second and 1 out in the 6th inning. Toronto leading 1-0. Fastball right down the middle for a strike from Morris. First bullpen activity of the night for either team, Todd Stottlemyre. Ordinarily a starter, but in the bullpen in the postseason. Chopped slowly to short. And they can't turn it. They do erase the middleman, Bream, on the play. 6-4. Lead to Alomar. 2 down and runners at the corners now.
If a ball is hit slowly to the shortstop, a good second baseman, realizing there's no double play chance, will fake to first and then look at third. If the runner that was on second, in this case David Justice, rounds third, then a throw behind the runner might nail him. Those instincts of Roberto Alomar, growing up, his father a professional player, his brother a professional player, those instincts embedded at a very, very young age.
Tying run at third, go-ahead run at first with 2 outs in the 6th inning for Damon Berryhill. 1-0 on the Atlanta catcher, who has struck out and fly to center. Now just 4 for 26 in the postseason. Pulled foul, a rocket into the Atlanta dugout. Once again, Jack Morris's consecutive scoreless inning streak in World Series play is in jeopardy. The 18 innings, the longest in the World Series since Bob Gibson pitched 19 consecutive scoreless innings in the 1967 World Series against the Boston Red Sox. The 1-1 pitch. Gant takes off. They let him have second base. Ron Gant, a perfect 10 for 10 in his career in stolen bases in the postseason.
And neither the shortstop, Manuel Lee, or Roberto Alomar covered on the play. So they were just going to give the potential go-ahead run second base if he ran. He did, and they did.
So now a hit from Berryhill of just about any variety would in all likelihood give Atlanta the lead. Gant, a good runner at second, the outfield pretty deep. Berryhill with a deep drive to right. On the way to the wall, Winfield, forget about it. A 3-run homer for Damon Berryhill, and the Braves take a 3-1 lead.
This is the first 3-run homer against Jack Morris all year. A splitter.
Lemke lines a base hit into center. So after going through the first 5 innings with only 1 hit, the Braves have 3 hits here in the 6th. And another base runner with 2 down. Lemke 1 for 3 tonight. The home run for Berryhill, his first ever in postseason play. The batter Tom Glavine, who's 0 for 1 with a walk his last time up. That's well hit. Devon White is there. And that ends the inning. But the Braves take their first lead in this World Series on a 3-run home run off Jack Morris by Damon Berryhill.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Bell Canada.
It was early in the day with all systems A-OK.
This control, what's that noise?
This is control. That was Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Say again?
Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
What's in it?
That's 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins and whole grain flakes with bran.
They were all set to go, but you just had to know.
How many scoops?
2 scoops of raisins in a package of Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Off the engine.
Where's that Kellogg's Raisin Bran?
This is the factory of a leading North American tire maker. They make excellent tires with the kind of traction and mileage life you need. In fact, they're so good, we chose them to make Motomaster tires for Canadian Tire. So why don't we identify them? Maybe they're concerned that if you knew they also make Motomaster tires, which come with a nationwide road hazard warranty at no additional charge and a great Canadian Tire price, everybody will buy Motomaster tires. Maybe they're right. Motomaster, Canada's #1 selling replacement tires.
Hi.
I did some number crunching last night. Guess how much of our business comes from out of town?
30%.
Try 48.
Wow.
And I looked at our long distance bill.
Oh?
Guess what we're spending? When did we start saving this much?
Since Bell looked at our long distance calling and recommended a savings plan months ago.
With Bell, you get more than long-distance savings. Good price and reliable service. Today, that's real value.
Guess how much this bill is?
$14.50?
Right. Gotta go.
Long-distance business sense from Bell. Call us.
From Walt Disney Pictures, critics are cheering for the nation's #1 comedy, The Mighty Ducks. It's a definite winner. A comedy that'll keep the entire family laughing. You'll love The Mighty Ducks. Now playing.
A big 3-run homer by Damon Berryhill, and that's the splitter that we were talking about, thrown by Jack Morris. And it hangs high, and Berryhill takes care of the rest. 9 of his 10 home runs this year were hit left-handed, and his first in postseason play. What a thrill that must be.
And in the dugout between innings, Cito Gaston summoned Pat Borders. And obviously he had a point that he wanted to drive home, in all likelihood, about the home run pitch. Glavine to Dave Winfield as Tom Glavine works with the lead for the first time tonight. In the top of the 7th inning, Winfield an infield hit in the 2nd. He bounced to 2nd in the 4th. The only run in this game for Toronto and a home run by Joe Carter leading off the 4th. Glavine has set down 9 in a row since then. He has fallen behind Winfield 2 balls and no strikes. Big swing at the 2-0, and now it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Pete Smith, the right-hander. Mike Stanton, the lefty, in the Atlanta bullpen. Glavine has thrown 98 pitches. Three balls and a strike. pop-up. Center of the diamond. Glavin pointing at Bream. 1 out. Again, we remind you that before the game tonight, Bobby Cox told us that his decision for his Game 4 starter would be contingent upon how many pitches Glavin threw tonight, and he's up to 100. He had one start this year when he went the distance and threw only 83 pitches. Of course, the other part of the equation is how effective would Glavin be tonight, and who's been most effective. The only mistake, the home run hit by Carter. The Blue Jays have only 3 hits off the Atlanta lefty, and Glavin has not issued a walk. Candy Maldonado has struck out and bounced to short. 1 out in the 7th, 3-1 Atlanta, 1-1 on Maldonado.
Pitch count is a broad gauge of a pitcher's effectiveness. I think a hitter, how the hitters are approaching a pitcher, is a better gauge of how effective he still is. I mean, if he tires, the hitters will let you know. There'll be one line drive after another off their bats. And obviously it depends on the pitcher. Tom Glavin is not a power pitcher like, say, John Smoltz, Jack Morris, or David Cohn. A pitcher that relies on throwing to spots, and he has fallen behind, missing his spots for the first 2 hitters here in the 7th.
And Damon Berryhill is at the mound. Count now. Maldonado at the plate, Kelly Gruber on deck. Here is the 3-2 pitch. Struck him out. Glavin has retired 11 in a row. He has 6 strikeouts to his credit tonight.
This ball might have been outside, but it was too close to take. You see Berryhill sitting away, and it could have been away, but the ball too close to the strike zone. And Maldonado, who had 1 strikeout for every 5 plate appearances, leading the Toronto Blue Jays in that department, pays for the 6th strikeout. Tommy Glavin this evening.
Maldonado was fanned twice tonight. Can't blame him for swinging at that pitch, since a similar pitch was called strike 3 on Alomar last inning.
Right.
We talk about the consistency of the home plate umpire on those pitches on the outside part of the plate to right-handed hitters, and really Jerry Crawford hasn't been very consistent with that pitch. Kelly Gruber 0 for 2 tonight, ahead in the count now, 2-1. Blue Jays have had only 3 base runners. With 2 outs in the 7th, Atlanta leads 3-1. They took the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning on a 3-run homer by Damon Berryhill. Now the 3-1 is popped up. In shallow right center, Justice makes the catch. 12 in a row retired by Glavin. 7th inning stretch in Game 1, 3-1 Braves.
2 return tickets to Italy. That's our reward for using the card. Every time we did, the points kept building. And the card's with us all the way.
The Membership Rewards Program. Use the card, reap the rewards.
Opening night, and we've got great seats. It's our reward for using the card. Every time we did, the points kept building. Now that's the ticket.
The Membership Rewards Program. Use the card, reap the rewards.
Hi.
I did some number crunching last night. Guess how much of our business comes from out of town?
30%.
Try 48.
Oh.
And I looked at our long distance bill.
Oh?
Guess what we're spending? When did we start saving this much?
Since Bell looked at our long-distance calling and recommended a savings plan months ago.
With Bell, you get more than long-distance savings. Good price and reliable service. Today, that's real value.
Guess how much this bill is?
$14.50.
Right. Gotta go.
Long-distance business sense from Bell. Call us.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Bell Canada.
Did you know that while economic barriers between countries are falling, trade restrictions within Canada still exist? That's why the Charlottetown Agreement proposes that the free movement of persons, goods, and services be written into the Constitution as an objective for all governments in Canada. This is a key point in the agreement. It's for you to judge. For more information, please call 1-800-561-1188.
Candyman.
Say his name.
Candyman.
5 times.
Candyman.
Candyman.
We dare you.
Candyman.
Candyman.
At theaters now.
Midas will look at your brakes 49 different ways, free. Then we'll give you a guaranteed estimate and a certified brake specialist to fix them right. The free 49-point brake inspection. 49 reasons to trust your brakes to Midas.
The overhead shots tonight are courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. The Goodyear Blimps are now in their 4th decade of participation in sports telecasts. Tonight's telecast is produced by Bob Dekas and directed by Joe Assetti. We are delighted to have you with us for Game 1 of the 1992 World Series from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And the man at the center of the diamond at the moment is a new pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Right-hander Todd Stottlemyre takes over after 6 innings from Jack Morris.
Todd pitched in 1 game in the LCS, 3 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, striking out 1, and giving up 3 hits. He is the son of Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach for the New York Mets, and he is the second, or he and his father are the second father-son combination to ever play in the World Series. Jim Bagby, Sr., who played in 1920 with the Cleveland Indians, and Jim Jr. with the 1946 Boston Red Sox. That is, to pitch in the World Series. Both Bagby's pitched, and both Stottlemyres have pitched, now that Todd's in the game.
Otis Nixon singled and stole second in the 1st inning. Tried to bunt his way on in the 3rd, and Morris threw him out. He walked in the 5th. Braves trying to build on a 3-1 lead as they come up in the 7th with the top of the order. Stottlemyre's first World Series pitch, a strike. Morris pitched 6 innings. He allowed 3 earned runs on 4 hits. He walked 5, struck out 7, and threw a wild pitch. The big hit, the 3-run homer, that accounted for all 3 Braves runs to this point. Morris threw 98 pitches. During the regular season, Stottlemyre was almost exclusively a starter. He appeared in 28 games, 27 of them starts, and he posted a record of 12-11. And he strikes out Nixon on 3 pitches. Now Jeff Blauser, who is 0 for 3 tonight. One strike on Blauser. Terry Pendleton to follow. And strike 2. Stottlemyre out of the bullpen, throwing nothing but strikes. Todd's 27 years old from Yakima, Washington.
Usually, if you have a shortstop, you look at his defense first and then his offense. Blauser, always a pretty good hitter, but had some problems defensively His defense improved the last 2 months of the season, says Bobby Cox, to the point where he became the regular shortstop. You know, the Braves throughout their history have not been known for shortstops. As a matter of fact, last Brave shortstop to make an all-star game as the starting shortstop, Eddie Miller, back in 1942, 50 years ago. The Braves have been known for a lot of things, but not shortstops.
As we mentioned, Jeff Blauser is afraid he won't be protected in the expansion draft, and during the playoffs he was introducing himself to members of the national media as Jeff Blauser of the Colorado Rockies. A little bit of an overthrow by Stottlemyre on the 1-2 pitch. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. The temperature is dropping noticeably. Tom Glavine is trying to stay warm as he watches the bottom of the 7th. Blauser called out on strikes. 2 outs in the 7th. Stottlemyre has come on to record back-to-back strikeouts of Nixon and Blauser.
Pitchers refer to that as painting. Painting the outside corner, and Stottlemyre paints it perfectly. See that mitt that Pat Borders uses? It is a very old glove. He is particularly fond of that mitt, and he keeps recycling the stuffing on the inside of it. Look at that pocket right there. That thing has been worn. You can tell he's catching some hard throwers.
Wouldn't that hurt if the padding wasn't as full as it should be?
Not with the new mitts that they have, because the pocket is off center. It rarely hits the right below the index finger. One of the advantages of the new style mitts, the ones with the break in it. The older mitts had no break, and you had to catch the ball with 2 hands. There's that old mitt that Pat Borders has brought to the series. It has made one-handed catchers out of a lot of catchers, and to the detriment of some.
Chopped to short. And Lee throws him out. 1, 2, 3 go the Braves. We've played 7 in Game 1 of the World Series. Atlanta 3 and Toronto 1.
Somewhere out there is a guy dreaming he's here, sitting on the edge of his seat, watching inning by nail-biting inning as his team inches closer and closer to the greatest prize in professional baseball, wondering what it'll be like to witness history in the making. Unfortunately, he can't. After all, he lives in Oakland. A taste of Canada. Blue light. Imagine that.
We're talking calories Eva, thanks. Just the size of them. My bank doesn't even know I'm alive.
But that's your bank. We're changing.
Oh, sure.
Really?
Okay, give me one simple example.
Today we have literally dozens of products and services, like a Visa card that earns you Aeroplan miles. Or we'll even have people come to your home to help plan your retirement.
What are we doing?
You can even do your banking from your living room at midnight. My job didn't even exist a while ago. I'm what we call a personal banker. I have a lot of customers that I meet with one-on-one. Which is the best bank? It's probably the bank that remembers everyone's different and treats them that way.
I said, don't get Eva started, but no.
We're changing. We're CIBC. Get us working for you.
Your Ford and Mercury dealers believe having a family doesn't mean you can't enjoy a sporty vehicle. Now, for only $16,995, you can get the ideal family vehicle with a sports package featuring front-end spoiler, aluminum wheels, striping, and Aerotech side panels at no extra charge. Plus standard features like a V6, air conditioning, automatic, and more. Introducing the 93 Aerosport. While quantities last, get Aerosport for only $16,995 with a no-charge sports package. 93 Aerosport. Think of it as the family sports car.
All the runs in this game have come on home runs. Joe Carter for Toronto hit a leadoff home run in the 4th inning, but Damon Berryhill answered that with a 3-run shot in the 6th inning, and Atlanta leads 3-1. And Tom Glavine is silencing his critics who say he can't win in the postseason. Rafael Belliard has come in to shore up the Atlanta defense behind Glavine. And it's the bottom third of the order for the Blue Jays in the 8th. Glavine has not issued a walk. He's retired 12 in a row. Pat Borders has one of the 3 Toronto hits, a single to left in the 2nd. Blue Jays have only had 3 base runners. He's now thrown 113 pitches, many more than he did in his last outing in Game 6 of the National League playoffs against Pittsburgh. There's 8 runs in 1 inning. They all came in the 2nd. A postseason record for most innings allowed, most runs allowed rather, in 1 inning by a pitcher. Mark Wohlers is the right-hander. Mike Stanton the lefty. Dropped in at the knees. Level count of 2 balls and 2 strikes on the Toronto catcher. Up the middle, base hit. That ends Glavine's string of 12 in a row retired. Borders is 2 for 3. The Blue Jays have 4 hits now, and the tying run will come to the plate with nobody out in the 8th inning. Manuel Lee, the batter.
Excuse me, Sean. Manuel Lee, a much better hitter as a right-hander this year. I beg your pardon, as a left-hander, 284 from the left side, only 212 from the right side.
And ball 1, high and away from Glavine.
There are Manuel Lee's numbers. Glavine needs a double play ball here. And Terry Pendleton and Damon Berryhill both out to talk to Tommy. When a pitcher needs a double play grounder, he'll never come inside to a hitter, unless it's inadvertent. All double play grounders, a pitcher tries to go away to entice a hitter to hit into one. And you can imagine with Tommy Glavine, that's how he pitches anyway. So if you're Manuel Lee, you look for the ball away.
That's a double play ball. Belliard steps on the bag, double play.
He gets the ball away, and Belliard gets the ball in his glove. Belliard just in the game, and the key man on that double play. Big pitch for Glavine.
2 outs and the base is empty in the 8th inning. Pat Tabler is pinch hitting for the pitcher Stottlemyre. Braves lead 3-1. Glavine's first pitch to Tabler, a strike. Tabler only appeared in 49 games during the regular season. He hit .252 without a home run. In shallow center, Nixon coming on. That ends the inning. 8 outstanding innings by Tom Glavine. They're not talking about his postseason failures anymore.
And now, another Coca-Cola Sports Break. Here's Rod Black.
And as the Blue Jays have some work to do now, we can see that David Wells is coming to the hill, and there was good news for another lefty earlier tonight. It was confirmed that Cito Gaston will go to a 4-man rotation. That means Jimmy Key will get the start in Game 4.
I don't know that much about him yet, but I'll be watching them for 3 games and go over reports and see how these guys hit. But the bottom line is I got to do what I do best. You know, I pitch one certain way. I can't adjust the way I pitch. And if I do what I can do, I can get anybody out in that. And so I just got to go out and do what I do.
So it is confirmed the lefty will start Game 4. We'll be back after this.
Hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger.
Yes, the SO Tiger's back. Back to remind you that our long-standing commitment to service still holds true today. Whether it's full serve or self-serve, we'll do our best to get you on your way as fast as we can. At SO, giving you good service is how we earn our stripes.
You're on your way. With SO.
Earlier tonight, David Cone was in the batting cage getting his licks. Tomorrow night, he will be on the mound here in Atlanta. David Cone, the starter for game number 2.
Well, they're a tough lineup. You got to start with Otis Nixon at the top and keep him off the bases, and he can do a lot of different things to be on down the line. They've got big game hitters. Terry Pendleton's come up with big clutch hits all year long. Sid Bream's another guy, and Ron Gant and Dave Justice are probably 2 of the younger sluggers in the league that are more dangerous than anybody else.
Now another World Series moment from Game 1 in 1988.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Jack Buck with the great call of one of the most memorable moments from World Series history. Pinch hit, 9th inning home run gave the Dodgers the win in the first game against Oakland. It came off Dennis Eckersley. David Justice batting against the new Toronto pitcher David Wells, who was the only Toronto pitcher who was not used in the league championship series against Oakland. Wells on to face the middle third of the order, Justice, Bream, and Gant, trying to keep it at just a 3-1 Toronto deficit and give the Blue Jays a chance to come back in the 9th when they have the top of their order coming up, White, Alomar, and Carter. Very high in the infield. Gruber, now in foul ground, makes the catch. And a nice job done by Todd Stottlemyre in his first World Series appearance. He worked a 1-2-3 inning, and a great job being done tonight by Tom Glavine as he was talking things over with Mark Lemke. Sid Bream, the batter. And strike 1, the count. Bream has walked and singled tonight. He's 1 for 2. We're in the 8th inning. Atlanta leads 3-1. Toronto jumped on top in the 4th inning on a home run by Joe Carter, but Damon Berryhill hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 6th to put the Braves ahead. Bream down to first. Carter 2 down. Certainly the Braves have missed Greg Olson in the postseason. They would have loved to have had him, but his understudies have done a pretty good job. Cabrera, a backup catcher with the winning hit in Game 7 of the LCS, and Berryhill with the big hit tonight.
And as importantly, Berryhill has done a terrific job handling the pitchers, and only one Pittsburgh Pirate stole a base against Damon during the LCS. It's what you look at first. When you're trying to judge what a catcher does, you look at how the pitching staff does. The pitching staff does well, then a guy like Berryhill is doing well.
1-0 the count on Ron Gant, who's 0 for 3, but he did reach on a fielder's choice, steal second and score on the home run by Berryhill in the 6th inning. '29-year-old David Wells in with a strike. He is from San Diego, California. Wells 6'4", 225 pounds. Two balls and a strike on Gant.
out of play. In front of the lady who painted her face with the Braves logo. You know how long it took to spray paint the logos on the field here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium?
How long?
18 hours. It's quite an undertaking for the ground crew. There are two of them along each foul line.
That didn't take 18 hours, I'll tell you that.
And her family can send their letters to Tim McCarver, courtesy of CBS Sports. 3-2 the count. It's a very nice looking logo. It just didn't take as long. Bases empty with 2 down in the Atlanta 8th. 3-1 the Braves have the lead. And a 3-2 pitch from Wells. Fouled back to the screen. Lack of left-handers in the bullpen, a situation that faces Toronto.
David Wells really the only left-hander. Jimmy Key has been named as the Game 4 starter, but David Wells the only guy in the bullpen that Cito Gaston has. And Cito Gaston really not bemoaning that. He says some left-handed pitchers are just not as effective against left-handed hitters as they once were. Too many breaking balls, and there's Jimmy Key. He will start Game 4 next Wednesday night at Skydome.
Ball 4. Wells went to the off-speed pitch on 3-2 and missed. That will bring up Damon Berryhill, who gave the Braves the 3-1 lead his last time up.
First pitch was high to Damon, and then the second pitch was a strike. Now 1-2, a high splitter. And for Atlanta, it's been a different hero every day for the last 8.
Berryhill, one of only 6 members of the current Braves who did not play in the World Series prior to tonight. Obviously, most of the Braves have World Series experience because most of them were on the Atlanta team last year. The only Braves in this series who have not appeared in the World Series previously: Deion Sanders, Otis Nixon, Berryhill, Javier Lopez, Pete Smith, and Marvin Freeman. Now, the Blue Jays have only 4 players who have ever been in the World Series prior to tonight.
I think David Wells, with a move like that, is fortunate to have an American League umpire at first base. The American League is much more resilient with the left-handed pitchers over there. They're not nearly as strict as their counterparts in the National League.
Wells to the plate with this one, and it's a strike on the first pitch seen by Berryhill.
One would expect Ron Gant to be running. He has stolen 10 straight bases in postseason play,
including one tonight, although they did not contest his stolen base in the 6th inning. Berryhill with a chance to make history. No player has ever hit a home run from each side of the plate in a postseason game. Berryhill's home run off Morris came from the left side. He's batting for the first time tonight right-handed against the lefty Wells. But as Tim noted earlier, Berryhill had only one right-handed home run this year. The 0-2 offering struck him out. Not a good-looking cut by Berryhill. We go to the 9th, the top of the order coming up for the Blue Jays. White, Alomar, and Carter. It's 3-1 Atlanta in Game 1.
Gao is sound. Gao is motion. Gao is color. Gao is light. Gao is black. The television of choice in Japan, with a better picture, a better sound, and a sleeker design. Gao is now in Canada from Panasonic.
I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone.
IBM introduces Helpware. When you need a little help, Helpware is only a phone call away.
Won't you please help me?
Helpware from IBM. Call 1-800-465-7999 for information.
At Discount, renting a car for the weekend is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Take a minute now, listen to me. Rent for 2 weekends, the third one's free.
That's right, free. Just rent a car for any 2 weekends, and your third weekend's free. We'll pick you up and drop you off. Free. So you're free to go anywhere, do anything. Discount weekends. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Call Discount. We want your business, and we'll come right to your door to get it.
Labatt presents the World Series on CTV. Sponsored by Labatt Blue. Honest and true, you bet it's blue. By Imperial Oil and Esso Associates. You're on your way with Esso. And by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball.
Now another World Series moment from Game 1 in 1970.
2-2, curveball, swinging a ground ball that is going to be fair or foul. They wait for the hop, and now Hendricks makes a grab and tags the runner coming to the plate. It was a Baltimore chopper. It hit right in front of the plate and then went straight up in the air. Hendricks was powerless to do anything but wait for it.
1970 series, and it looked like Elrod Hendricks made the tag with his glove and held the ball in his right hand.
Tom Glavine trying to have a great World Series moment of his own. He's had a great night. He's allowed just 1 run through 8 innings. He's facing the top of the order in the 9th inning of Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Glavine pitching with a 3-1 lead. Devon White leads off and swings and misses for strike 1. White, then Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter. Chopped to short. Belliard stayed down with it. 1 out. The Blue Jays have had only 4 base runners tonight. They've had only 1 since the 4th inning. Glavine has not issued a walk. He has struck out 6. Bobby Cox watched Tom Glavine throw 7 complete games during the regular season, but he hasn't had a complete game since July 3rd. Alomar on the corner, 1 strike. He's 0 for 3 tonight. One ball and 1 strike.
Alomar, an excellent bunter. Terry Pendleton in at third, and Sid Bream in tight at first base. Here's Terry.
Two balls and 1 strike. 1 out. Bases empty. Top of the 9th. 3-1 Atlanta. That's a pop-up. Lemke out. 2 left. Joe Carter. He has provided the Blue Jays with their only run tonight, a leadoff home run in the 4th. Jimmy Carter sweated out a deep fly ball to left field that Carter hit in the 6th that was caught at the wall by Ron Gant. That should end it. Justice and Wright makes the catch. A brilliant performance by Tom Glavine in Game 1 of the World Series. And Atlanta wins the ball game 3-1.
What a job by the battery of the Atlanta Braves. Damon Berryhill supplying the power, and Tommy Glavine supplying the pitching.
And he will not pick up the paper in Atlanta tomorrow and read again about his failure to come through for the Braves in the postseason. 129 pitches and going the distance for Tom Glavine. We'll be back with Pat O'Brien in post-game interviews in just a moment. Game 1 belongs to the Braves.
Storyboard Express wasn't saving what they'd hoped since leaving AT&T. Party Helpers Catering was having trouble getting faxes through on the first try. So like thousands of other businesses, they've come back to AT&T. And we want you back. Switch now and we'll give you credit for 1 month of long distance. And we'll pay to switch you back if you're not completely satisfied. We want you back. Call 1-800-222-0400.
Jonesy? What are you doing out there?
Hiding. Huh? Mr. Jenkins says the package I sent him didn't get there. He's calling every 5 minutes to yell at me.
It's probably in his mailroom. Just call Federal Express. They'll tell you when it got there and who signed for it, so Jenkins can yell at him instead.
All I gotta do is call Federal Express? Great.
Only Federal Express can confirm delivery in seconds. Other companies can take days.
What are you doing back there?
I didn't use Federal Express.
Next time, use Federal Express.
Aspen Cologne for men. Aspen, now.
Introducing the Goodyear Buy 3, Get the 4th Tire Free sale. Buy 3 Goodyear all-season radials, and you'll get the 4th tire free. Come on in, before they all disappear.
Before Elvis, before the Beatles, there was Sinatra. And there still is.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra, the music was just the beginning.
Presenting the RCA 52-inch projection screen home theater. It's bigger and brighter than almost anything out there.
I'm gonna love you forever.
These days, more of us are planning long-term relationships with our cars. That's why millions are driving with Slick 50 engine formula. Slick 50 is guaranteed to help protect against wear, like no motor oil can, especially at startup when engine wear is at its worst. Treat your engine with Slick 50 so your long-term relationship can last even longer.
Forever and ever, amen.
Make room for another big chicken noodle soup from Chunky. Classic chicken noodle made the Chunky way. Big, gigantically juicy chunks of chicken, humongously hearty noodles, and titanic tasting vegetables. Chunks big enough for a fork, but you better use a big spoon to get every drop of robust chicken broth. Chunky Classic Chicken Noodle. Soup so big, it eats like a meal.
Pat O'Brien back at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia. Game 1 of the 1992 World Series is now history with the Braves beating Toronto 3-1. Winning pitcher Tom Glavine, losing pitcher Jack Morris, and our Chevrolet Player of the game is Tom Glavine of the Atlanta Braves, and Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in his behalf to the Special Olympics, his first complete game since July 3rd. And nobody's more happy about that than Tom Glavine, who is with our Jim Cott. Jim?
All right, thanks a lot, Pat. For the first time in 7 years in World Series play, a complete game without a base on balls. And Tommy, I think coming into this game, off a short outing, it seemed like the early innings were very important, and after you got by that first one or two, you relaxed.
Well, it was real important. That game the other night still in the back of my mind, and the biggest thing for me in this situation was just to get out there, get through that first inning, and feel comfortable again. And I felt like I did that, and from that point on, everything just kind of flowed, and I did what comes natural for me, and that's what I needed to do.
Seems like against a power-hitting team like Toronto, and predominantly right-hand hitters, every time you had to make a big pitch, it was an off-speed pitch, and you had them out front all night.
Well, I did. It's not much of a secret that my bread and butter pitch has been my changeup, and I've kind of struggled with that pitch lately, and I worked on that a lot on the side the other day, and I just decided I was going to go out there tonight and do whatever I had to make sure I established that pitch and had it going. And like you said, it seemed like whenever I needed a big pitch, that was the pitch I went to, and it had the movement on it that it had all year long on it, and that's why they were taking bad swings.
Tommy, congratulations. Great effort. Thanks for the visit. Tom Glavine gets the Braves off to a great start and dispels any notions about his postseason pitching. Let's go back to Pat.
All right, Kitty, indeed, and there's something in the air here because the Atlanta Braves remain undefeated in World Series play at home, beating Toronto 3-1 tonight. Damon Berryhill, the hero tonight. When we come back, stay with us.
It's almost time for the dinner basket crowd to come in. Are you ready to go? Get loosened up, Shirley.
I love this place.
It's dinner at Burger King, and can you believe? It's table service. These are actual people eating actual dinner baskets at Burger King.
They gave us our drinks and we sat down, and minutes later they had everything on the table.
Serve between when?
4 and 8.
And then what do I get beforehand before you bring the food out?
And popcorn.
Popcorn? It's your way right away.
I love this place.
Isn't it wonderful? A tire so special, it may last as long as you own your car. The XH4. Congratulations. It's a Michelin.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Almond joys got nuts. Mounds don't, because sometimes you feel like a, sometimes you...
Can we turn off half your TV for just a moment? That's better, because this is all we need to tell you about a delicious new rice dish with half the fat of the other leading brands. It's new Uncle Ben's Country and Recipes. We left out half the fat, but we didn't leave out any of the taste. With garden fresh vegetables, tangy cheeses, and all-natural flavors, it's our best recipe ever. Uncle Ben's really does make a difference.
Introducing Capio Iced Cappuccino. The rich, smooth taste of cappuccino, only cooler. Capio, it's refreshment Italian style. Capio, so refreshing, so delicious. So try it. New Capio from Maxwell House. The thrill is the chill.
A little chilly tonight in Atlanta, but you can bet that it is hot Atlanta tonight again as the Braves beat the Blue Jays in Game 1 of the World Series 3-1. And baseball, I guess, has been very, very good for him, right, Kitty? Damon Berryhill is with him.
Very nice, Pat. Yes, Wednesday night it was the backup catcher, Francisco Cabrera. The regular guy did it tonight, Damon Berryhill, and that had to be a sweet feeling. One of those feelings when the ball hits the bat, it has a nice little bend to it. I have a feeling it felt that way.
Yeah, it felt outstanding. I got a pitch I could drive, and when I made contact, I really didn't feel it at all. I knew the ball jumped good, and I looked up, and Winfield just kind of took a step back and stopped, so I knew I hit it well.
And Jack Morris had the forkball going early in the game, really keeping it down, but that was one he kept up above the belt, looked a little big.
Yeah, definitely. We kept saying we got to make him get the ball up. He killed us early on with the forkball down. It was hard to lay off of, and I was fortunate enough to be able to stay back and get a fat one I could drive.
Damon, congratulations on a big night. Not only the 3-run homer but a great night in handling Tom Glavine in this win for the Braves. Let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Kenny, as Tim McCarver said earlier, it seems there's a different hero every night for the Atlanta Braves, and tonight it was Damon Berryhill. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Some full commission brokers are finding more and more ways to charge more and more fees, even annual fees on IRAs, just for the privilege of doing business with them. But not us. At Charles Schwab, we offer the no-fee IRA, and we guarantee that you'll never pay an annual fee for the rest of your life. So if you're tired of finding new fees every time you open your statement,
maybe it's time to come to Schwab.
In a moment of inspiration, Rockport combined the lightweight comfort of its walking shoe with the rugged performance of its hiking boot. The Discovery Series by Rockport. Do not try this at home. Rockport, you should be in our shoes.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy. Don't you think?
Skin Bracer Aftershave.
By Menon.
There's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Only Sears has the Die Hard. Sears is so confident of Die Hard starting power. If your Die Hard needs a jump, Sears will do it absolutely free. Anytime, anywhere, even if you leave your lights on.
I got stranded once. Never again.
You can count on me. Sears Die Hard. More power when you need it most.
Most of the fans have left now in the parking lot or in the highways and byways of Atlanta. By the way, you've been enjoying pictures from the Goodyear blimp tonight, and we thank our friends at Goodyear for those beautiful pictures as our final score once again, the Atlanta Braves 3, the Toronto Blue Jays 1. Tomorrow night, join us again at 8 Eastern Time for Game 2 of the World Series.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1992 World Series is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Aetna, a policy to do more. And by Nicoderm, nicotine transdermal system. Ask your doctor about Nicoderm.
You've been watching the 1992 World Series on CBS Sports with one pitch. Payback to Jack Morris from the Braves, his first World Series loss. And mark it down on October 17th, 1992. The fans got their thrill from Damon Berryhill. See you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
I don't remember. It was something.
The Nicoderm patch. Nicotine transdermal system.
Yeah, it's called Nicoderm.
Oh, yeah, the patch.
Right, it's a patch.
Nicoderm.
A lot of people don't know about it. You know, maybe I'll ask my doctor.
Nicoderm. It's a patch, huh?
Yeah, it's a patch.
Nicoderm, by prescription only.
Until recently, arthritis was a life sentence. Because of the Arthritis Foundation, more Americans are escaping the pain every day. The Arthritis Foundation, your source for help and hope.
My guys, Bradshaw and Gumbo. No hype, no attitude, just a lot of stuff about football. The NFL Today on CBS. I am a big fan.
These unofficial moments in our national pastime are brought to you by the official airline of Major League Baseball, United. Come fly the friendly skies.
To learn more about this great tradition, the World Series in baseball, the Library of Congress suggests these books: The History of the World Series by Gene Shore, and Once More Around the Park, a baseball reader by Roger Angel. These and many other interesting books are available at your local library and bookstore. Visit them. They'll be happy to help you read more about it.
When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports. This is CBS.
My husband and I are on a fixed income, and we didn't want big bills and big maintenance, but we did want a nice, big, smooth ride. So we went for the Century, and we're very happy with it.
All over America, Buick quality is leading the way.
If you're looking for quality, value, and style, your Western New York Buick dealers say welcome home.
Buick is leading the way.
In the 1980s, people might have accused us at Continental Insurance of being a little boring. We shied away from junk bonds. We shied away from commercial real estate. Today, after 135 years, we have one of the highest quality portfolios in the insurance industry. Now everyone's trying to be boring, but nobody does it better than us. Continental Insurance. We never let down our guard.
This is a rearview mirror. A rearview mirror from a Ford Taurus, the #1 selling car in Western New York and Northern Pennsylvania. #1 because of design. #1 because of safety. #1 because of an incredible 24-month lease for about $248 a month on a new 93. Ford Taurus, the #1 selling car. And this is its rearview mirror, where you must look to see the competition. See your local Ford dealer today.
The best prices on tires. Service that's... because stocking the best selection of tires can't be. Discover a new world standard for touring performance with the Dunlop Axiom all-season radial. Long mileage, even wear, a smooth, quiet ride, and a 55,000-mile limited warranty. The Dunlop Axiom, designed for you. Done Tire. There's a location near you. Stop in for a done deal.
And now, news for Buffalo.
Fans get excited as Atlanta wins Game 1 of the 1992 World Series. Good evening. Our top story tonight, getting into the spirit of the all-American sport. The quest to be the best in Major League Baseball gets underway in Atlanta tonight with the start of the World Series. As News 4's Milas Hairston reports tonight, Western New Yorkers seem to be keeping a close eye on this year's classic.
Tonight, the boys of summer had the attention of millions of fans with the start of the World Series. This year's version pits Atlanta against Toronto, and it's a little more interesting for some fans.
Well, this year, you got a Canadian team in there, Toronto, which I think it's been 90 years or whatever since Canada's finally made it, you know. And that makes it exciting to me, you know, to have a team outside the U.S. in there.
Everybody was rooting for Pittsburgh because of the Bison's connection, but since they're out of it, everybody here is for Atlanta.
So what about having a Canadian team in it for the first time?
Oh, it's nice because, you know, Toronto is just up, you know, a couple hours up the road, so it's a real good rivalry. But it doesn't matter. We're still rooting for Atlanta.
Certainly good arguments can be made for each team when it comes to picking a winner, but for some people, getting a chance to see one of the teams in action in person is enough to swing their pick.
I went to Toronto earlier this year over the summer to watch the Blue Jays play, and they won. It was a really close game. They played the A's, and I'm here to watch them win tonight.
Well, this is the time of year sports fans really love. Football is in full swing, hockey season is going on, basketball season is about to start, and of course you have the Fall Classic, the World Series is finally here. So you would think that most people would watch this series right till the very end. Well, think again. So it's safe to say that this big event that like all of America's watching, you really don't care about. What would you rather be watching right now?
Reruns of I Love Lucy.
And while Diana may not love baseball tonight, she may get more than her fill in the next week if this fall classic turns out to be as exciting as most baseball experts think it will be. Miles Harrison, News 4 Buffalo at 11.
Game 2 of the series will air tomorrow night starting at 8:29 right here on Channel 4. And Brian will have more on tonight's first game coming up in sports. Politics now. Al D'Amato and Bob Abrams took each other on tonight in a TV debate in Albany.